Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Sunday. You know what that means? Speedrunner Spotlight. It's all in the name. You should know this.
Going to
We.
church.
Oh, no. It's not what that means here.
The speedrun chapel.
Hmm. Is that what we are? Anyway. Hi, Kally. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. You're here to talk about the speedrunning thing that we do.
Yeah, so basically, if you don't know what speedrunning is, we go fast.
Oh, it all makes sense now. Thank you for that insight. I
Except when
did
we go
not.
slow. Sometimes we go slow.
Really?
It's usually sad.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But yeah.
Sometimes you go slow, but that's not what you want.
Sometimes you
So,
have to go slow to go fast.
mm, well, there's your definition. If you were here and somehow didn't know, that should clear your mind of any confusion. So, there's a spider on my ceiling. That's fun.
Ooh.
Great timing. Anyway,
See, maybe it'll come down and I'll get into the camera and it'll be like a third person in the interview.
see you joke about that, but that's happened before.
Yeah. It's happened to me too.
Oh, okay. Not like during an interview, but I was like speed running and just came right in front of my face, in front of the TV, and I'm like, nice. Don't like that. Anyway, speed running, cool thing. You've been doing it for some years, I'd say.
For this point, like
4.
actively.
Mm. God, I forget that I'm the old one most of the time now. It's weird.
I've been
So,
watching since 2014.
well,
That
that's
counts.
that's more than I. There you go. I like learned about it in 2017 and then 2 months later started doing it. So late finder, but at this time it's like, oh,
You're here.
you're old now.
Yeah,
It's a weird,
2017 start is yeah.
so weird how quickly things go. But I guess that it comes going quick comes with the territory, so I can't be too surprised, I suppose.
Time flies when you're speedrunning.
It's true. So, you started in 2019 then or 2018?
2019. I think it was after Cheese's 139 and 15 that I probably
Mm.
saw live, and then that probably sparked me to play the game casually again because I played it a lot as a kid. And then I think I distinctively remember being like 40 stars in and being like, let's just do a run.
Hmm. Based, honestly. So, you just did a run. Was it 120?
I was 16. There was
Mm.
I when I first discovered speedrunning in 2014, like I had no idea what I was doing, so I just like booted up the N64 and was like, all right, I'm gonna try to do Lakitu skip and OG canon list and stuff like that. But that was pretty much it. Like a year later, I started high school and there was just so much downtime and we had school laptops, so I bought a Mayflash adapter and was learning the 16-star run. But then I couldn't get past second MIP, so I gave up
Hmm.
and then I didn't try again for 4 years. So I knew some stuff, and like I watched for a while that I knew how to what the game should look like and how it should go, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a lot as a kid, so I wasn't completely new. So I was just able to just like do a 40-minute run or something.
That's pretty good, right?
I think
For
so. I think a lot of people land around like the mid 40 if they've played the game before in the past like a lot and they've watched speedrunning. If you've never touched the game, like even if you have someone guiding you through it, it's gonna take like 2.5 hours.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, just get that sub hour 16. That that's a good starting place. That's probably the best starting place for that game. Just
yeah,
nice easy 16 run through. There you go. You know how to play the game now.
the first runs you do are just like so addicting because
Mm-hmm.
you just keep PBing.
Yeah, and
You
it's
don't know
so
anything and
easy.
you keep getting better.
Yeah, you can just do the same strats and all of a sudden you're saving like 15 minutes. You're like, what's going on? Oh, I know how to move the guy now. I see.
I learned not to jump in this hole 4 times.
And that, yes. Falling in pits is not ideal, I would say. So,
Oh,
yeah. It's so easy to like just improve quickly at that game, like from
Yeah,
like a start out to like a decent, well, because you slowly get better at movement
I think
the more
it's
you play.
also I think that's the case with like most games. And I haven't really speedrun a bunch of other games, and I imagine this is kind of true with other games, where obviously the more time you put into it, the better you get. You
Hmm.
know that's true with every game. But with Mario, it feels like, or with Mario 64, it feels very linear. Like it feels very much like you just keep spending time, you just keep getting better. You're always kind of challenged a bit, but also you can always just improve. Yeah, when you first start out, you're going to be improving by a lot and like big chunks at a time and improving every day, and you can see it visually. But it is something where it's if you're putting the time in, you're always seeing progress, and you're always like there's visual evidence, like there's actual evidence of here's a PB, here's a time. If you chart it over like a couple months or whatever, you can see the trend lines. It's pretty easy to not get stuck, at least for a while,
Hmm.
which I think is really, really cool. Like, there's some games where it's like you're playing it, you're doing like a certain route or whatever, and you max your strats out, and then you have to update and go like significantly harder. So there's like a big disconnect, or like there's a big barrier. Whereas Mario 64, it's just pretty much it's linear. There's never really a point where it's like I'm gonna learn this insane trick that saves a bunch of time. Well, maybe now there is with carpetless, but you, you
Depends.
you can kind of just walk your time down just by focusing on like anything. They're
Hmm.
like I think it's really good in that aspect, and it's very addicting. You're always able to see progress.
Yeah, 16's interesting that way because like a lot of the hard tricks you don't have to do for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So,
You can. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, where it's interesting that I can mess up every single star and get like a decent time, and it's just like there's there's a certain expectation of how well the star is going to go, and then there's a certain expectation of like what I would consider, oh, that was really good. So it's like I have my baseline, and then I have the peak where if I hit that peak, I'm like that was crisp. That felt really good. That was really nice. And just like getting better at the game pretty much fundamentally comes down to making your peak higher and making the gap between like your average attempt and your peak as small as possible. And you can do that everywhere.
hmm.
So it's like some people they might have like the cleanest run, but they're doing things extremely slow, whereas somebody else is just going like balls to the wall super fast, but they're messing everything up, and they might up at the same time, which is interesting that it can like meet at a certain point. But that just means that you can balance it in a certain way, and you can kind of find the optimal balance.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like that game is so reliant on movement to go fast, and a lot of games that are more linear aren't quite that way. So it's interesting how that works out. There's plenty that are like that, but 64 is like the prime example of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and 64 has like been one of the top speed games for so long. There's been so many people playing it. It's been pushed so far that it also just is you it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. I don't think that there's any person on the planet who could sit down and become world record contender in 120 in less than 2 years. Realistically, I might eat my words on that, but I feel like at least 2 years has to be spent, like even if you're doing everything as optimal as possible to just get to a point where you're good enough to be competing world record level. So it's been pushed so far. So there's just so many different things that you can focus on. There's tricks, movement. Movement's the main thing, consistency. But that stuff takes a long time to build up. But you can always see it build up as long as you're doing the proper practice things. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but if you structure your practice in a way that you have as many data points as possible, you can plot it out. You'll always see that you're improving.
So, do you have like good practice methods then? Like I know there's like a lot of Mario 64 runners preach about this like certain practice way. Kind of curious about it.
So for a long time, how most people would practice is um they would learn all the stars or whatever, and then they would just go around. They would load up Usamune or their Game Shark or whatever, and they would just go to the stars that they feel like they need to practice, and they would just do it until like just their brain said that it was fine.
Mhm.
So some people are better at knowing when it's actually fine to move on. Some people aren't, but that was like the main practice method for a pretty long time, and that's what most people kind of will default to. Um, there's more structured practice that was made popular by like Akori, with the Akori method, where you set goal times for each star that you want to hit, and then you set goal times for each stage, and then you set goal times for each segment. So like you break the run up. So like maybe you'll do like just the basement section. You'll do like a few stages in a row and you try to hit that time. And people would do that. That's what I was doing for a while, and that helps a lot with consistency. What a lot of people are doing now is streaks practice where they'll pick a star, they'll pick a time. They'll be like, I want to hit this time X amount of times in a row. And I'm finding that that's really beneficial because if you're good at picking a time that isn't like absurd, but it still challenges you, you're forced to spend a decent amount of time on that star and you're forced to learn new things about it. So you might learn like a new small technique on how to do something a little more consistently, or you might learn how to save a couple tenths. And doing that seems to like like help extremely, and it's very easy also when you're doing that to see progress, because like let's say you set your goal as you want to hit it 10 times in a row. Well, maybe the first time you're doing it, or like the first day you're doing the star, you only hit it 2 times in a row, and then maybe the next day you hit it 3, and then maybe the next day you hit it 5. Well, you're able to see that progress. You see you're getting better each day, which kind of just reinforces it and keeps it healthy and keeps you going and makes it so you don't burn out. I also like doing X amount of attempts or X amount of completions and just logging how many attempts it took and logging that. I've been doing that with carpet lists. So like I've been doing sets where I do 25 completions and then I log how many attempts it took for me to get 25 completions. So I'm able to plot it and see my consistency go up with time. So it might not feel like I'm getting better at it, but I can look at the hard data and go, I am getting better at it. This is how often I hit it. This is my percentage rate. What do I think is a good percentage rate where I would feel comfortable always going for this? Or where do I feel like I'm comfortable maybe taking a step back on practice and focusing on something else? So
Hmm.
there's a lot of different methods that you can apply.
Now, are these, do you think, only like really good for Mario 64, or can they be applied to anything?
I think they can be applied to a lot of other things, but I I don't know enough about other speed games really to know.
Hmm. That's fair.
I'm sure the thing is Mario 64 very movement based and very it's very easy to tell how fast you're going because you have timers and everything built into our practicing, and some games don't even have practice
Hmm.
like ROMs. Um but like if I was learning any game, I probably would do something kind of similar where I would section it out and I would be like, I want to hit this in X amount of time. Maybe you have to start a timer on my phone or whatever, or just live split, and maybe I can track my consistency. But I think it applies the same way where it's just trying to hit something or do something a certain amount of times in a row kind of just builds up the consistency in general. And it's just like studying. You're
Yeah.
basically just studying and committing it to memory. And one of the important things about that is definitely sleeping on it, doing it across multiple days. Um, I'll see some people. It's okay when you're first learning something to spend a lot of time on it, like the first day when you're messing around. But when you're practicing something, I don't think it's efficient to practice one thing for like 8 hours. If you're gonna spend that much time playing, you might as well spread it out. So like for me, when I practice, I try to pick multiple different things to focus on, multiple different stars. Ideally, I pick four, and then I spend 15 minutes at a time on each. So I'll do 15 minutes. I'll move on, do the next one. That gives me an hour. And now if I want to practice more, I can just go back to the start and cycle it again.
Hmm.
That gives a little bit of time between each practice. It lets it settle in the brain a bit. Um, it makes you're doing different things. You're focusing on a lot of different stuff. Um, you're like you're changing the environment a bit so you're not getting bored of it. That can help in a day, and then you come back the next day and maybe it just clicks. I find that a lot is I'll practice something for a while and I feel like a certain way or I have a certain consistency with it, and I go to bed and I wake up and it feels significantly better the next day. Maybe not where I want it to be, but it does feel better. So I think spreading it out over multiple days is more efficient. Whereas I think a lot of people are like, I have to focus on this one thing and I cannot move on until I reach my goal. So they'll spend an entire day or 2 or 3 trying to get it, and then they move on to their next thing. But over the course of a week, maybe they only get to 2 or 3 things. Whereas over the course of the week, if you're spreading it out more across multiple days and you're understanding, you're going into it knowing it's going to take multiple days, you can learn like 5, 6, 7 things or practice that many things in a week and probably come out better because of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting method. I see it being very beneficial, but yeah, I'm trying to think because I have run other things. Something are not like movement based at all. It's like very you do this for this exactly. So
Mhm.
it's like trying to judge a goal. Would it just be like tying it every time, or I don't know. I'm just trying to think, process it, and apply it to something that isn't Mario 64.
Yeah. Like SMB1, I know that there's like the frame rolls and everything.
Yeah.
So it could just be either doing if I was learning it from what I understand about SMB1, which isn't a lot, is like if I'm starting with world 1 or whatever and I want to get to the end in a certain amount of time, where it's like I'm going to set my goal as a certain time, but I got to break it into sections. So it's like I got to break it into the whatever the timer is on the top. This is what I want to hit going into the pipe. So now I'm going to practice getting into the pipe a bunch of times in a row at that time. And now I'm going
Hmm.
to practice the underworld section in a certain amount of time. And now I'll practice the next part. And I'll just cycle that until I kind of feel like I'm at a point where it's like I can start adding them together and I can be like, okay, well, I want to reach the end of the underworld in a certain amount of time from the very beginning.
Hmm.
So I'll do that a certain amount of times in a row. And you just keep doing that until you can do like the full level, the whole stage. And you do that. And once you get to that point, it's like, well, I know this now. And now I
Hmm.
can move on to the next stage, or you can learn multiple stages at the same time. And even when you're not learning it, it still can be beneficial. So I want to go through every single star and do streaks for every single star. How do I pick where to start?
Hmm.
Well, there's 120 stars. It can be very daunting. So what I've been doing is I've just been picking the stuff that's been messing me up lately, the things that I've taken note of and go, this is what's been tripping me up. This is what needs to be worked on. I just pick that star. So it could be the same thing with SMB1 or whatever, like a certain stage or a certain area. You do that with OOT, any game really.
Hmm.
You just you go, this is how it should be. This is how I want to do it. I'm just going to try to do it a bunch of times in a row. And that's like focused practice. It's not just I'm going to load it and I'm just going to keep doing it over and over again and just throwing myself at it and not really like just turning your brain off. Sometimes turning your brain off is fine, but ideally it's focused beneficial practice that you have a goal in mind and you're there, you're present for it.
Hmm. So it's like almost having a goal for a full run, but it's just in a certain section that wouldn't like be its own leaderboard
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're just running against yourself and what you
Yeah.
see as good in your mind.
Yep. A lot of people will do that with like upstairs or whatever.
Hmm.
They'll say I want to get an upstairs time of a 35, like a
Mm.
35-minute
Yeah.
upstairs time. And they'll just keep doing attempts until they hit that. And it's like you can focus on smaller parts of that to help you hit it. But
Yeah.
once when what you set certain goal times and then uh you can reasonably like say with confidence, okay, now I can do a full run attempt to hit this time. So it's like I'll break it apart and I'll be like, well, I think if I get this lobby time and this basement and this pre up and this upstairs and this tippy, that equals 136 something or whatever. And I'll be like, okay, well, it's reasonable. Like, obviously, those are all individual, so they're going to go better.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just play until you get those where every stage is pretty much you play every stage extremely well, which isn't going to happen in a full run. You're going to have stages that go poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get a better time than the PB or whatever that you want is. But if I was getting like my segment times added up to at 136, I could probably be like, okay, I think it's reasonable in a run to play a minute off that, so I can go for a 137 now.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how Mario 64 is structured, where you could like do the single stars, and then there's stage RTA, and then there's like section RTA, and even
Yeah.
that you like Tippy is a part of like the whole upstairs, and then there's like the whole
Hmm.
upstairs. There's so many like sections you can break it
You can
down
always
into.
just pick you can always pick an amount. You can even pick. I've seen every like this is rare, but I've seen people where they'll be like, I'm missing up THI and TM, which is in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of upstairs. So they'll just do those two stages back to back and be like, I want to hit this time. And it's stuff like that that's really beneficial because it forces you. Also, another thing with that is it's also helps simulate nerves
Mm.
because once you start getting to the end of it, you start getting nervous because you're going to hit your goal. That simulates the nerves of being in a run, so you get practice with that too.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a big thing with streaks too. For just single stars,
Mm-hmm.
you hit 9 out of 10, and it's
Like,
the heart rate's
oh
going.
fuck. but but it's funny if you're like practicing an early star, so you're like more nervous than you ever would realistically be in a run.
Yeah,
That sounds funny. But yeah, like practicing nerves in late game is I feel like if you're just doing the same star over and over, there's no way you could do that.
yeah, you don't get nerves if you're just doing it based off of feel.
Hmm.
When you have stakes, that's what it matters. That's why I think a lot of people can agree that practice they feel like they play worse in practice than they do in a run.
Mm.
Where it can feel like in practice that you're not like super consistent with it, but you always hit it in a run for whatever reason. And it's just because when you're on a run, it matters. When you're in practice, you can just reset, you can try again.
Hmm.
But in the middle of a run, you have to hit it. You have to be focused. You're in the zone.
Hmm.
There's stakes.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm usually the opposite. Feel like my practice is super good, and then I go on a run, and I just fuck up every single thing.
Segments. I don't know.
Segments, yeah. Yeah, I'll have
uh,
to figure out what practice method is optimal for non Mario 64 stuff.
I think it changes too. Is because there's so many different practice methods that I just listed, or like you can go really small and go for like the individual stage, or even just individual part of a level or whatever, or you can go big, you can go like a whole segment. Um, what needs work changes. It's just like whack-a-mole. If you're thinking about if you're not doing like it's just to simplify this, if you're not doing any segment practice and you're only practicing stars, um, one star is going to prop up that you're having a problem with, and it just becomes a problem, and you have to go practice it, and you have to beat it down, and you might beat it down, and another one's going to pop up, and you have to go practice that one. It's the same thing with practice methods of if you're doing streaks for a single star, or if you're doing like a whole segment. um I can go do streaks for a while, and now my consistency, like I feel good with those stars, but my consistency for the whole stage is now bad. So now I gotta go practice the entire stage, the entire segment, and build that skill back up, build the consistency back up. Okay, maybe now I'm these random stars I'm having problems with again. Okay, now I'm going back to like more focused single start practice. I think that kind of can apply with everything, every game.
Hmm.
Just there's a section of the run that I'm struggling with. It's like go practice the whole section. Don't just practice the one thing. Try doing the entire section. Get that consistent. That builds your confidence up, and
Yeah.
I think that's a better approach. But you
So,
you do need to kind of understand when to just go practice the one thing.
yeah. So, like, if I'm tying this into like a Mario 1 thing, because that's what I'm used to, it'd be like if you're screwing up even just one thing in a level, like do a whole world RTA, but you can like focus in on that one thing, but make sure you also do the full world.
Yeah,
so you can like hit it in like a at least some sort of like part of the run, not just
So
literally
like
2 seconds of something or whatever.
is there something in 8.3, for
Eight
example, or
three.
like if you were doing going through, is there like a trick or anything in 8.3 at the
Um.
end?
Well.
Or even like 8.2 or anything like that, or in the middle of any
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. There
Like
are
you
some things.
like you could start struggling with like a trick that's there, and it's like your first idea is go practice the one thing. Go practice that thing. And maybe it's going well in practice, but you just keep missing it in runs.
Hmm.
At that point I'm like, okay, go do the whole world. Like
Yeah.
play a bit before you get there. You shorten the amount of time that it takes to get there because you're doing practice and you're only starting at the beginning of the world. But you still have a build up to it. So there's still nerves, there's still that it's no longer just pure practice. It kind of feels like you have to work to get there, which makes you more likely to mess it up, which means when you're repeatedly working on it and keep throwing yourself at it, it means your brain's going to work harder to try to fix it.
Hmm.
And maybe subconsciously it just does, you know.
Yeah. Mario One's a weird thing where everything's like so many. Well, top level is like so many frame perfect bullshit. Like it's
Yeah.
hard. It's a little
it does
hard.
it does it does not look easy.
No, that's because it's not. But
Sometimes I look at games and I'm like, I feel like I could get good at this fast. SMP1 is not one of those games. SMP1
uh
was like, this would take a long, long time.
well, um, it's funny because it's like I think it's pretty easy to like get like sub 5.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty easy, but once you start adding in things that are frame perfect, it becomes some quickly becomes a mess, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
That's why comparing that to SM64, I don't really feel like SM64 really gets like that. I kind of felt like that way around 141, and it kind of seems backed up by the leaderboard is that for some reason everybody gets to 142 and then stops.
Hmm.
That we have like no 141s. We have way more 140s than 141s. So it seems like if people can get past that barrier, then they start playing. They can go further. But I don't know if there's like actually something there.
Hmm.
It could just be coincidence.
Yeah.
But like you said, like other games, once you get to a certain point, it gets significantly harder. Whereas SM64, I feel like it's pretty linear and very obvious what you need to do, and it never gets to a point where all of a sudden everything is extremely difficult and everything needs to be leveled up. It's
Hmm.
very much just keep working on this and then that and then this and then that. Just a little bit, just push this a little bit further, and this one a
Hmm.
little bit further, and then you're there.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to do. Excuse me. There's so much to do where yeah, like you never have to get ridiculous. Like the short categories kind of, I guess, because they're just so short. But it's
Hmm.
funny like just how much longer the longer categories are in comparison. Cuz yeah, that's not a good example. Scratch that. But I was going to go back to like the Mario 1 practice, like trying to see how it would work in that game. Um again, like it's really hard. So got to remember that, but like there are like section if you're at a top level, they're like 8-2, there are like sections that are super hard. So it'd be like and you usually just focus on them, but then you could do like the whole level and then the whole world. Although the whole world would be a bit ridiculous at top level, but like yeah, there's a way to structure it in a somewhat similar way.
Hmm.
Maybe not perfect, but um
It's just adapting it to whatever the game is. To you start small and you work your way up, which is kind of how learning anything is. You know, you start small, you start with the basics, or you start focused on one thing, and once you can do that, you can apply that to other stuff. And you just keep building on the foundation until you're able to do it all repeatedly.
yeah, it Yeah, definitely varies on the game to like how well the consistency can be, but yeah,
Hmm.
it seems like that's like the best way to perform well, I guess. And it might be hard to apply it to other things, but there should be a way to apply it to other things and make it
Yeah.
work for almost any game, probably. I'll probably put this theory to the test for what I do
I'd be
because
sick to see how it goes.
yeah, I'm curious if I like try it in a different way, test the results in something that most people that use the method don't play. So,
It'll be interesting for SMB1 because I know with SMB1 for a lot of it, it's you have to hit a certain thing. Like
mhm.
you have to,
Yeah,
otherwise it's the run is over.
yeah,
Um,
in like any percent or top level like categories, but
yeah. So it's gonna be like your goal is to just hit the frame rule, I guess. Just
yeah,
hit it consistently and then do multiple stages back to back where you hit the thing consistently or you go fast enough or whatever.
mhm. Yeah,
It sounds so hard, dude. Like
yeah,
it's so scary because with Mario 64, I'm always like, well, what if there is something that I can't I just no matter what I do, no matter how much time I spend on it, no matter how many people help me with it, I just can't grasp. And the cool thing about Mario 64 is that most of the time, if that were to happen, which has happened with a couple things, they don't save enough time where it real ultimately matters, where it ultimately is like, you're screwed, sorry. SMB1, I feel like it's like
no,
if you can't get this thing, like it's over. You cannot get this time.
yeah, kind of
Like
at top level, yes, but
yeah, at top level.
I I'm thinking of like categories where they're longer and it's you don't have to do perfection, where it
Hmm.
would be more beneficial in that way. Like if you're going for like a good warpless time or something, like not like super super top level because that's like essentially any percent again, but
Yeah.
like you can. Well, warpless is a weird thing where you have to like use notes to match certain frame rule paces, so you get certain patterns. But that could be a good practice to like make sure you hit everything in a world segment, and
Hmm.
then instead of just like practicing that one frame rule, because there are like multiple frame rules where the patterns are fine. So if you accidentally lose one somewhere, it's still possible, and now you're like practicing a different pattern that maybe you're not going for, but it's possible that you get, and then you can figure out what works on whatever pace you're on, and you have that knowledge from ahead of time.
See,
So
there isn't really much like that in Mario 64.
yeah.
There's in if you asked me this like a week ago, my answer would have been when you're doing practice, like the best thing to do is like if you make a mistake is to just get back on the path before you reset, is just figure out how to get back to where you need to be so you minimize time loss. That would be like the closest thing. Now that we have carpetless, this is this
Well,
is this is very different now where I've never had to learn backups in this way before, where it's I'm aiming for a certain frame, and if I get a different frame, I have to do something completely different. And if I want to do that fast, it needs to be in memory. It can't be everyone's like making documents and everything, and I have to look at and to verify and be like, this is what I need to do if I get this certain pattern or whatever. Um, it's something completely new. It's nowhere else in the game, but optimally you memorize it and you have it down. So when I'm in practice, I'm like, okay, I got this thing. I'm gonna just try to remember, try to recall, just so I can do it on autopilot, just to just so I'm aware. Because it's like most of the time, yeah, I'm gonna hit the frame that I'm comfortable with, or the frame I'm second most comfortable with. But the third one, like I'm still at a point where I need to look at a reference, and if that's in a run, that's scary. but practicing all three, being comfortable with all three, very
Yeah,
beneficial.
this is in an awkward time where it's so new.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Such a
Very
massive
uncertain about,
development.
yeah, it's and it was scary because this is something where realistically at the very top level, if you can't get this down, it could just put you out of contention for world record. Um,
Hmm. Like
so
soonish, but obviously
yeah,
not now.
yeah. So there's a couple tricks where two in particular where I'm like I've spent so much time on this and I just cannot understand it, and I've given it my all, and I've looked at so many different resources, and I've had so many people try to help me, and it just doesn't click. Giving up on it. And even at the top level, it's okay to do that with
Hmm.
these things. With carpetless, at the very top level, like that's big.
That's like a
That's
Mario 1 moment now. You have
yeah,
to or you're screwed.
yeah. So
Welcome to the
it's
club.
yeah, going down the ranks, just getting better at Mario 64. The entire time I've always been like, what if I hit a wall? What if I just like get to a point where I just can't improve anymore, or like I everything starts like, or nothing is clicking anymore, you
Hmm.
know everything that I'm trying to add is failing, nothing's going well, and that's just like the insecurity and the anxiety and whatever, because it's never happened. There's only like two tricks ever that that's kind of applied to for me, and combined, at least now that carpetless is a thing, it's only 5 seconds
Hmm.
for both of them. Adding them together, it was 8 before carpetless, and it's like I can get rid of 8 seconds. That's fine.
Hmm.
But carpetless is like, dude, that's something that is gonna, for somebody learning that down the line, it's gonna suck,
Hmm.
because they're gonna be good at everything else, and they're gonna be the one unlucky person that it doesn't click,
Hmm.
and they're gonna have to spend so much time on it, and they're gonna feel so bad, and
Hmm.
my heart goes out to whoever that person is gonna be.
Yeah. It's funny because this is so new. Like when we probably scheduled this, it wasn't a thing yet.
No.
Yeah, it's how
I
old is this trick? Like 3 or 4 days?
think it's 5 or 6 at this point,
5? Yeah.
since the initial, like the absolute initial bomb drop, original posting of the video,
Yeah, I'm
which,
thinking of the like orthogonal. Is that what they call it?
yeah, that one I think has been like 4 days.
Yeah.
The one that we went, okay, we can do this now.
Yeah,
It's been
because
like
the other one was like,
4 days.
well,
Yeah, that one was people are talking about getting different controllers, and there
yeah.
might be a mod rolling, and this does not look fun. And even the day once orthogonal dropped, where it was more viable, I think for most of that day we believed that you could only do it with one frame, and
Mm,
you had to get a fourth frame wall kick. And then later in the day it came out there's different setups for every frame. So then
wow.
we had to go
Mhm,
through, someone made a dictionary. I had to go through and like test them and see which one felt the best. And just being like, okay, well, this is my library. These are
mhm,
if I get this frame, this is what I'm doing. And
yeah.
there's going to be a lot of overlap, but I'm sure some people will look at what most people are doing and be like, I don't like this one. And then they'll open up the library and find their own that they prefer. So
Mhm,
it's very interesting. And it's also so new that there already is there's two dictionaries now,
mhm,
because there's the initial movement where you do a triple jump. Well, you do a triple jump wall kick, but how you start that triple jump changes. So, like, how we're doing it now is, or how most people are, is you do a jump or a kick stationary, and then, like, right when you land, you start holding up, you hit A for 3 frames. You have a
mhm,
3 frame double jump, and then you have a frame perfect triple jump that gets you in the perfect position. And that's, I'm getting way better at it, but it's definitely something where it's awkward and you can still mess it up.
mhm.
So that's what all of the original dictionary was made, assuming you're doing that. Well, now there's another setup where you do like a full double jump and you pause buffer it to make sure that you're at the very height of it, and then you start holding forward. But all the setups are completely different. So there's a different
Mhm.
dictionary for that. So the question is which one's better? Which one are people going to prefer? Which one do people find easier? Are some people going to do the 3 frame triple jump, or some people, or the 3 frame double jump, or are some people going to do the full jump?
Mhm.
Is there going to be another one that comes out that's even easier? Who knows? It's so early on that it very much feels like some people I think are just sitting out waiting for all the dust to settle
Mhm.
before they start messing with it, because they just want to right off the bat mess with the thing that they're going to end up doing. Whereas me, I started when we thought that you could only get a 4th frame wall kick, and you can get very consistent at getting a 4th frame wall kick. Like, I get a 4th frame most of the time now. But when I
Mhm.
started, I was like, I don't want to risk this. So I was pause buffering it.
Mhm.
So it was going to be, some people are just sending it, some people are pause buffering it. But now that we know that multiple frames work, all of the practice that I did for pause buffering it, kind of out the window, kind of.
Mhm.
Pause buffering is still beneficial for the whole strat.
Mhm.
So like that skill's still there. But I went through and I was like, okay, well, if I pause buffer and get on this frame, I know that I have to do this combination of inputs to get a 4th frame wall kick. Like, I have to unpause and wait this amount of time, So
Mhm.
it's still very much in an experimental stage, and every single day people are coming up with new things. And it's sick to see everybody kind of working together on something, but also it is a little boring.
Mhm.
I
That's
want to
fair.
see I want to see runs again.
Oh yeah, everyone is literally just practicing that.
Yeah, but it's historical.
Mhm. This is
I
like
didn't
the biggest thing.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna
Period.
happen. I was very much an adamant believer that Carpulus would never be done on a run that matters.
Mhm.
Like, Parsi maybe was gonna challenge that.
Mhm.
Um, because they're getting pretty consistent with the traditional method, and they did hit it in a run. Just the run didn't matter.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so then it was just gonna be a question of, they're gonna keep throwing themselves at it. Are they going to get a run to stick, or very, like, there's a good chance that it's hard to get a run going. First of all, second of all, getting there and hitting it is hard. So you add them together, there's a possibility that it just never happens by the time that you burn out.
Mhm.
So there's a possibility that it just would never happen. So I started believing, maybe it'll happen, but probably not. And I highly doubt that all of the top level is going to start learning it. And my belief was, they're probably this is not going to be done in runs unless a new setup is found. And there probably isn't going to be a new setup because people have looked for years, and then a new setup was found.
Yep.
so
Surprise.
so yeah, at least it's doable.
Mhm.
And I can tell that you can get extremely consistent with it, and it seems to be somewhat clicking with me, so I'm happy. If it's
Yeah.
gonna happen and it's gonna be stupid or whatever, cool. Just just please, I want to be able to do it.
Mhm. That's fair.
So I'm there, so we're good.
That
We're in
is
a pretty
good.
comfortable spot.
It's interesting that this was found because it's like a lot faster than the old method, right? And it's
Very
like,
slightly, I
oh, just
think.
very
I
slightly.
I think it's only like 3 seconds, but it's like significantly
It's
easier.
so much easier. And I can
Yeah.
tell you it's easier because I was messing around like yesterday, I think, and I don't know how to do it. Like I haven't looked it up. I've just been watching people do it, and I've gotten the glitchy wall kick. I just don't know what to do after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's only like one pause frame that's mandatory in order to do like a stick shift, like a frame perfect stick shift, right?
2.
Two of them. Okay.
Well, technically, you don't have to pause at all. If you're insane, you can go from neutral to a
But if we're gonna
cardinal
be
or whatever in one
realistic,
frame.
yeah.
Yeah. Realistically, there's always going to be 2 pauses at least, like
Hmm.
minimum.
Okay.
If you just somehow manage to land, if you get a 4th frame wall kick, you can do it in two direction changes, because you're holding up. First pause, you start holding down. Second pause, you start holding right.
Okay.
So theoretically, yeah, your pauses could land on those 2 frames. So I think RTA, the lowest amount you're ever going to see is 2 frames,
Got
unless
it.
a new setup is found. It's just
Hmm.
trivial how you can do it.
Yeah,
But
I didn't
as
know
of
about
right now,
the down input. I just knew about the right input.
yeah, that like down input. It's like I saw someone in the Mario 64 lobby earlier, um, saying how can you know what frame you get? That's insane. And it's like, not really, because you're going to be aiming for a late frame, so you can kind of train yourself to hit a 4th frame.
Hmm.
So I haven't practiced the setups for first or second frame. I have them written down in case for whatever reason I realize that I got one and I'm like insanely early. But it's pretty easy to just aim for a 4th frame. And when you aim for a 4th frame, you're either going to get a 4th frame or a 3rd or a 5th. So
Hmm.
just learn those 3, and 99.9% of the time you're going to get one of those frames
Hmm.
and you're going to know what to do. So 3rd and 4th frame can look kind of similar. 5th frame, if you're paying attention to the wall kick, it looks like he just lags there. So you can kind of get when you get a 5th frame and you can do the setup. But for the first frame that you would start holding down, it looks different for 3rd and 4th frame, and they're mutually exclusive frames. So based on what you're looking at, you can tell, oh, I got a 3rd frame. Right. The one problem is that there's overlap between 3rd and 5th. So if you don't realize that you got a 5th frame, it'll look like a 3rd frame.
Hmm.
But you can kind of be like, I hit A little fast there, so this is a 3rd frame.
Hmm.
But you'll be able to tell right off. Ideally, what I do is right off the bat tell if is it a 5th frame. If it's a 5th frame, I need to pause early and I need to do some other setup. If it's not, I'm gonna go to the certain position, and depending on how it looks, I'll know if it's a 3rd or 4th frame. Do a different setup. So it's very consistent in that regard. It's just getting in the window is hard. Setting up
Hmm.
the exact position, pretty hard, but like you're probably not gonna die doing it. Um, you can, but
Hmm.
it hurts a lot when you do. But
I can imagine.
and then it's getting one of those frames and just being able to pause buffer 1 frame, which is hard because you can't just pause, or you can't just unpause pause. You have to wait a frame in between, and that can be kind of awkward.
Hmm.
It very much seems like um I'll be pause buffering, I'll be 1 frame, 1 frame, 1 frame, 1 frame, and then I'll see the frame before the one that I need is. So I know it's 1 frame away, and then I mess up and I get a 2 frame.
Hmm.
It seems like that's like the biggest error, is just accidentally getting a 2 frame and going too far. And if you go too far, it's over. It's just there is no backup.
Hmm.
So it's getting used to just pause buffering 1 frame, really. That's like the 2 big things for me to practice right now is getting in the window and pause buffering. And I feel pretty comfortable with the pause buffering. So really, the hardest part of this trick is getting in the freaking window.
Hmm.
Which is insane to say. Like, if
Hmm.
you told me a week ago you're gonna be doing carpulus in a week and the hardest part is getting in the window, I'd be like, go punch sand, dude. I don't know what you're talking
Punch
about.
it.
Like, just get out of here, do something else. Like, you're but we're
Yeah.
here and we're doing it, and some people still are doubting it. Some people are like, it's too inconsistent and it's not going to be done in a run. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Sweegie hit it 11 times in a row from the very start. If I open up my notepad, I've been doing it from the warp 25 times. I've done it 125 times now, and I'm at 39%. And I can tell you over half of my fails are me getting in the damn window.
That's so interesting. Because I'm assuming the hardest part of like the movement to get in the window is the last like wall kick ledge grab
Yeah,
into it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You ideally you get a second frame.
Hmm.
Sometimes a third frame
Yeah.
works.
If you get a first, it's over, right?
It's over if you get
Yeah.
a first D, no matter what.
100%.
I've never seen a 4th or a 5th frame make it. You probably can if you're doing something weird, but ideally you're aiming for a second frame, which is like insane that you have a smaller wall kick timing window to get in the fucking window than you do for the actual trick,
That
because
is
every wall kick works.
that is. Welcome to the future. My God.
So I'm like, please, somebody come up with a sick setup. And then Sax don't link the one where he's pause buffering it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna pause buffer this wall kick. I'm just gonna get better at it.
Yeah, because every pause buffer is lost time.
Yeah. It's probably worth it to be honest, because it saves
Maybe.
so much time. But
Is every like pause buffer like 1 second?
depends on how fast you're doing it.
Hmm.
Uh I I'm not sure.
All right, that's fair. I'll just say I'm right, but
Yeah, we can just estimate. Just be like, yeah, it's like around a second for you to
yeah.
pause and figure out what frame you're on and realize what you need to do and have that process in your brain.
Well, okay. Maybe figuring everything else is a little
It's
more.
at least a fourth a second. Your reaction time to figure out what's happening.
The math checks out. Um, uh, it's interesting. Um, just it's very interesting how that works
hmm
because yeah, I remember having to need like a frame perfect wall cake, and now there's like five different setups with their own, and then there's there's so much.
It's actually insane too because it's each frame has multiple setups, and it's like I went through and I got setups that give you enough height where on the final wall kick you'd have 2 frames, so there's leniency. But there are setups where you only have 1 frame to wall kick at the very end. They're
Mm,
usually the later ones. Like if you got a 5th frame and you kind of realize late, um, then you have to do a setup and you have to get a 1st frame wall kick on the last one, which makes it way scarier.
mm,
Um, but there's tons. There's tons. You load up the dictionary and it just gives you so many different options that you can do. And it's like this is crazy because we just like use computers to figure this out. Imagine
mm,
like 10 years ago. Imagine somebody figuring this out by hand. Where they're just
mm,
going through and they're just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna try out this wall kick frame and this at this position I'm gonna hold this. Like it makes sense that it took so long for us to kind of
mm.
find it. But
Yeah,
now we're here and it's like feels kind of goofy.
it
It kind of
is. It is a little silly.
it kind of feels like chip clip where it's like people have been punching at this wall for years trying to get through it. Tasters have looked at it. No one's figured it out. Chip goes in and punches it 2 times and he clips through. Like, I-
Uh, that's how the big discoveries are found on like accident, not even trying. I can tell you that firsthand. Shoutouts to
yeah.
2-1 flag despawn. But like listening to how Carbolus works, it sounds so complex and complicated, but it just makes it that much more impressive, like just how
It's
consistent it can be.
I want to know like what it from an OOT runner's perspective, like how crazy is it? Because in my mind, I'm like, this is an OOTS setup. Like you're getting very specific frames and everything, and you're pause buffering, and it's just like the setup, you know.
Hmm.
And I feel like I don't know a lot about OOT, but I know they do a lot of stuff like that in OOT. So the question is, how does that compare to like OOT strats in terms of difficulty?
Yeah,
I want
I wouldn't know at
ZFG
all.
or Clint to do it, you know, and just be like, can they get it? And then what is their opinion on it?
Hmm.
So I don't. It's just a
Yeah,
completely different skill set for a lot of Mario 64 people because this is a lot of people's only speed game.
yeah, and yeah, this is such a huge new development. At least well, I'm used to like 60 FPS games, so it's nice that it's at least 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When people say frame perfect trick and then I learn that the game is 60 FPS, I'm like, you guys are nuts. You guys are
Firsts are free,
insane.
man. What are you talking about?
Cause yeah, I'm like, cause I'll just sit back and I'll think about the things that we're doing, like pillarless, 1 frame to get a big bomb,
Hmm.
which at 30 FPS is 0.033 seconds. 1/30th of a second you have to hit the B button. 1/30th. Like
Hmm.
I feel like I really want to do this and I keep forgetting to is I want to make a video where it's it's a 30 FPS video and it's like all black screen or whatever, and then it just flashes 1 frame white.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like put in perspective how short of a time period that is.
Mm-hmm.
And the expectation is you hit it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Making it half that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, I'm no.
And having to do like 5 of those in less than a second
Yeah, I'm good.
or more.
I'll stick with my thing. You do
Yeah.
yours.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it's easy. Firsties are easy.
I agree. More people need to do the first frame walk kick in TTM off the log. I'll just say that.
True. But you know, um, I'm so used to 60 FPS, so I'm allowed to say this. And the proof I have is so where the red coin star is for Rainbow Ride, it's between those two walls.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll just kick off of them in between them for fun.
Yeah.
My first EPB is 17 in a row. So
First
pretty
CPVs
easy.
are awesome.
Pretty free, honestly.
I think
No,
there's a ROM hack that is just a wall that you can do that on, like
amazing.
infinitely. Yeah.
And it like counts how many firsties you get.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think there is that.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, it's just an OOT setup. Except the game runs at 10 more FPS and unpausing doesn't take 4 seconds.
True. I forgot that
So
game. Yeah, PAL, Ocarina of Time is 15 FPS.
oh my god.
What an experience that must be.
Dude, hold on. I need to see this.
Well,
Freaking
because
PAL OT.
yeah, because PAL is like, was it 25 FPS for maybe Mario
Yeah.
64? So it'd just be OOT minus 5. And if that's 20, that's 15. I think the
I
math
feel like
checks out.
I feel like it's percentage based, maybe.
Maybe, but I don't know.
What frame rate is Ocarina?
Well, I'm sure it's supposed to be 20. But again, Ocarina of Time NTSC is supposed to be 30. And it ain't. So I think it's that thing. I don't know. PAL is weird.
PAL OT might just be 20. I feel like it'd be like 18 for whatever reason.
I just know it's bad.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's funny. But yeah.
In Europe, it ran at 16 to 17.
There you go. Very fun. Yep.
Visually see every frame. It's just a PowerPoint.
At that point, frame perfect input, anyone can do that. But
yeah.
all right, anyway, I think we've exhausted the carpetless talk. But it is interesting to like learn so much about it despite it being such an early development.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much is known about it. But so at the same time, so much isn't known about it.
And so much isn't known about the 100 coin because no one's ever really had to do the 100 coin.
Yeah,
I found a
because
thing yesterday that saves 30 seconds.
yeah, the two bomb
And
exploding with the Lakitu. It's very
and
cool.
it's like someone would have found that
Yeah.
within a few days, probably.
Yeah.
But it's insane that it hadn't been because everyone who did the 100 coin got to that section and they paused and then they were like, what am I gonna do here?
Mhm.
And because there's no resources, they have to experiment. So you have every single person who has gotten there is experimenting and trying to figure out what the best thing to do is. And everybody just assumed that getting the 100 coin star on the final platform with the Chuckya was fast.
Mhm.
But then I accidentally, just messing around, did this kill that killed the Lakitu and the bombs, and I was like, oh, this
Oh.
could be sick.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's fast and it's safe, and if you get screwed over for whatever reason, which is rare, just go kill the Czechia.
Yeah, there's like no reason not to do it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's cool. That's my biggest contribution to the game. It's
Mhm.
only a contribution because I was here day one, but
That's all that matters, though.
I'm still here and I did a thing.
You did do a thing, and it is sick. I can't wait for like the first record with carpetless. How long do you think it'll take?
Um, let's see. When are we ending?
Oh, I get it.
Just add like 2 hours after that.
Okay, got it.
I don't
Whatever.
know. It literally could be any moment, but it could also take like weeks
Yeah,
or even months. Realistically, it's just somebody gets on a run and just they mess it up.
yeah.
Okay, it's dead.
It's interesting
Right.
because since we were talking about like practicing with nerves, no one's had to like do it with nerves yet, or at least not on
Well,
like world record pace, right?
yeah, yeah. I haven't seen really anybody do tippy RTA, which is insane to me. Well, not really actually.
Hmm.
Well, okay, yeah, actually, yeah, it is kind of insane to me because no, never mind, I take it back.
Okay,
Because
fair enough.
I'm like, ideally, I feel like I'm at a point where I can hit it in a run, and I can go into it kind of confident that it is a possibility, and it's a reasonable possibility.
Hmm.
But ideally, I would still spend more time on it, like focusing on it. But I also kind of want to just try to maybe snipe a record, and that'd be cool. And that I'm gonna have limited time on.
Yeah,
So I'm willing to forego a little bit of consistency practice to try to get an attempt there now. And I feel like my consistency is probably as good as pretty much everybody else's, anyways.
hmm.
Not Sweegee's, but he's a
No one's is.
robot. He's a robot, so it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
But so yeah, some people did tippy RTA, but I feel like they didn't do a lot, and nobody got like a really good time, whereas I did.
There you go.
And then I've already been on a run that was PBable into carpetless. I
Oh,
think Marlene was two. So I think we're the only two.
like
Um,
you were ahead of PB and went for it, or you like were like only PB if you hit it.
only PB if I hit it,
Okay, got it.
which I would argue is PB pace.
No, it is.
If your assumption is that you're going to hit it, and at the time my golds were pretty bad too. I think it
Yeah,
it was like it was 138.50 best possible in Arima Ride, and my
yeah,
PB is 138.53.
yeah. I
And
was
since then
just trying to
I've golded it.
gauge the pace, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and since then I've golded it by like 20 seconds. So it was very reasonable PB pace. So there were nerves.
Hmm. Okay, got it.
And I forget how I failed it. I think I failed it. I think I did everything right actually, except the initial setup. Like my initial setup was very slightly off, so I didn't get the second glitchy wall kick. I think everything else was like set up proper. So it's like that sometimes happens and it's really unfortunate, but it would have been nuts.
Hmm. No, yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't have been like a super sick PB or anything, but it would have been the first PB with carpetless, and that would prove to people that hey, we can do this.
I
Where some
mean,
people
I
are
think
still
it's
doubting
already
it.
well enough proven that it's
Yeah,
happening, but
I think anyone in the know and anyone who has a brain can tell that
yeah,
it's happening. If you're still arguing otherwise, I don't just
yeah.
all right, dude.
I mean, well, we're at the point now that every top runner is just gonna go for it no matter what. So
Yeah.
you're going to see it. Otherwise, you're never gonna see another PB again. That's so. Those are your
Right.
two options
It's
here.
it's the game is dead.
The game is the game is
Everyone's
actually
going
fucking dead.
everyone's going for this trick that you actually can't hit first try in RTA. It's hard coded in the game. You're not allowed to
Yeah,
do it.
rip.
So that's unfortunate that we've all fallen into this trap. We're all poisoned, and we need a hero to come along that just refuses to do it and just beats everybody.
There you go.
Sucks that we got to this, but I
Average thought process of a Twitch chatter.
I don't understand it.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious that I mean, if someone's gonna hit it 11 times in a fucking row, like, okay, it's
Yeah,
happening,
like
whether
it's
you like
going
it or not.
like I feel like 11 times in a row is I don't need to see them do segment RTA. I don't need them to see them do stage RTA. I don't need to see shit 11 times in a row. It's happening.
Yes.
You can't just hit good like oh my god. Already hitting it 11 times in a row. Like you could take the top 16 runners and tell them hit salt cannonless 10 times in a row and it probably will take them days. So I don't know. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Like it's not even the hardest trick you can do anymore, even.
Probably. I don't know what you would compare or what would be
Yeah, I
harder
don't know.
or it definitely isn't the hardest, but I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But it's insane. So I saw someone in Sweegee's chat yesterday. He's practicing Vanish Cap and goes, "Is this easier or harder than Carpelus?" It's like, how do you answer that question? I don't know.
They're so different. Like,
They're so different. One he's learning, like
yeah.
actively right now. Like I don't. One people already doing fucking runs.
Yeah, that's like not the person you want to ask, someone that's practicing it for the first time, minus, yeah, people that do that already in speedruns.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Everybody's weird because
It's
Suiji
true.
also was like, I don't understand why people are going for this ledge clip strat, but they're doing Shigeru cycle in Dark World, and I agree.
Hmm.
So everyone's a little weird in their own way. Some
Everyone's a
people are
little
weirder than
silly.
others.
Hmm.
Everyone's a little silly. I'm a little silly. Everybody's got their weird things about their gameplay.
That's what makes it fun, though, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice that you can get to a point where if you watch enough, you can be shown somebody's gameplay with like no audio, no like it's just the gameplay, and
Hmm.
you can reasonably like if you're in the know, you can kind of tell who it is.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
You know what's crazier? I can kind of do that with Mario 1. Even though that game's like looks the same every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just do a little thing differently. I've actually like rejected runs because I've watched it and I was able to tell like whose run they stole. It's funny.
We've had something like that. I think like yesterday, 2 days ago. Uh, one of the mods was posting. They were saying that somebody submitted in one day or in 1 week or something runs from a 2 hour 120 time to 139, and they were going through and they were matching it with a bunch of different people's on the leaderboard because they just stole a bunch of different runs and then applied a darkness filter.
Awesome.
It's like you can reasonably tell whose gameplay it is.
Mm,
Some people it's way more obvious than others.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
usually like capture quality stuff,
Hmm.
but also just like little things people do that are just giveaways where it's like nobody else does that,
Hmm.
or three people do that, you know. It's going to be one of these three people and then you can make an educated guess.
Yeah.
But it's even the super small things. Just like I can look at people and I can kind of just subconsciously go, Ilias is this person.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I just kind of feel like it. My brain's tingling and saying you've seen this from this person.
Hmm. It's got to be a lot harder because there's so many runners, like
Yeah,
active, good, whatever.
that's another thing is with I used to be very good at knowing like most of the people in the community
Hmm.
when I was like more like lower runner, mid runner. Now that I'm more at the top, it's like I'm further removed from mid and lower runners, so it's easier for them to go under the radar to me.
Hmm.
Um, which I think just that makes sense, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's
So,
so many.
but there's people that I have never heard of before that have lower mid tier times, and they're hitting carpetless.
Hmm.
S-
There you go.
It's it's gonna happen if I've never heard of this person ever before, or they never speed ran, or have absolutely nothing submitted, or they have like a 25-minute 16-star run from 6 years ago, and they're doing it.
Hmm. Carbolus has been done on Guitar Hero controller. It's been done blindfolded 3 times in a row.
It,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
People arguing against it. I don't understand,
Mm-mm.
but they'll just be proven wrong.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit it like someday with my 5 hour 54 minute PB right now. I think that'll be funny.
Yeah,
But I think if I read 120 right now, I could get like a low 2 hour. But I just don't. My
do it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm busy with
I know.
so many things, but
Are you going
uh,
the full event for Pace? Are you going to Pace? I
yes, I
assume
gotta run
so.
it again.
Oh hell yeah!
It keeps happening,
It just keeps happening.
like how you keep happening to be in the 120 thing. Yeah.
I'm. It logistically makes sense. I'm 3 hours away. That's my excuse, at least.
I think that's pretty fair.
I'm a pretty cheap person to get,
Yeah, makes sense to me.
and
Hey, it
I'm
works
now
out.
at a point where I'm established enough where it makes sense
Yeah, like
too.
no one's arguing it.
Yeah.
I was just making funny haha. So,
Ha 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 ha.
but yeah, bass is fun. I
I'll
like
spend
it.
more time in the practice room this time.
Yeah,
Whereas
you
last
were
time
hardly there.
dude, I set up in the practice room the day before the LTA. I was there the whole event.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just, I was doing my own thing. So
That's fine, but
this time I'll be around more.
very good. You did kind of like come in and just destroy pretty quickly though, so
Yeah, that was nice.
yeah. What's it
I love these
like
events.
doing the like main showing at Pace?
It's insane that I can look out in the crowd and one, know so many people.
Yeah.
Two, not know so many people. Three, there's so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. It's also insane when you're at the very end of a run, your heart's pounding, and every single person's going crazy. And you're just like, I hope I don't mess this up because I want to pop off. I want everybody to pop off. And then that's what happened.
Hmm.
But then it's like, okay, I had that happen. Surely this time it doesn't happen. Surely this
Hmm.
time I'll choke because that's just probability, even though that's not how probability works. But
Hmm.
my luck has to run out eventually.
There's some sort
So
of fallacy there.
I don't know. It's very nice, and it's very nice daydreaming about and being like, oh yeah, I just want to be on stage and get a sick run, and everyone's going crazy, and just
You don't have to daydream it, it happens.
yeah.
You
I
know
want
exactly what it's like.
I want it again now.
Well, you only have like
It's like 40 something days.
what? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, it's almost the end of September. Holy shit.
It's 38 days until November 1st.
Oh, good God. Oh, shit. I
Yeah,
need
it's
to get a
coming up.
job, man. Although, speaking of, you've gone full time recently. How's that
Yeah.
been?
Stressful,
Yeah, that's fair.
but also nice. I have a safety net. I don't want to use it, and it stresses me out
Hmm.
because I'm like I don't want to have to use it. Um, even though it's completely fine and okay if I have to.
Hmm.
Um, and the safety net is there so I don't have to stress,
Hmm.
but it causes me to stress that I'm going to maybe use it.
Hmm.
But I'm still at a point where it's like barely feasible. You know, I'm making like basically minimum wage,
Yeah.
so I have to stream full time. And I know some people on the outside are going to go like they look at full time streamers or whatever, and they go, I don't understand what they're complaining about, or that seems extremely easy. But especially when it's something like speedrunning at a high level, it's hard to do that 8 hours a day.
Hmm.
You run out of focus and you get burnt out. And also, it is physically taxing on your hands.
Hmm.
So you need days off. Um, you unless you're a superhuman, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
just playing 8 hours a day every single day is going to destroy most people. So it's like it's stressful in the fact that oh, I'm making pretty much minimum wage, so I kind of have to do full-time hours
Mhm.
to like clear my bills and stuff. But so far, I've been clearing them. It's been fine. I have a little bit of savings. Like I have a safety net. It's okay.
Mhm.
And November, December go extremely hard for ad rev, so that'll help too. But I'm still at a stage where it's motivating in the regard that it's like I feel like obligated, like, oh my god, I have to get up and I have to stream most days.
Mhm.
Um, and it's motivating and it's helping me keep a schedule. It's also very stressful. I'm hoping it gets to a point where I grow enough where I don't feel as stressed to do it every single day.
Mhm.
And like there's a bit of a buffer, and
Mhm.
it's okay that I take 2 weeks off for vacation because now I'm like, holy shit, I only have half a month to make the money that I need to make
Mhm.
when I have a full month and I'm barely clearing it. It's like, but it'll all work out. I'll grow. That's the big thing is just I'm in a very fortunate position where I can just kind of focus on this. My brain is trying to not focus on it by being stressed out about it all the time,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah.
like you should stop and do something more secure. But I know for certain if I should stream consistently at the same time, doing what I need to do, and I'm getting better, more people are going to come in. That's just how it works. And eventually, there will be enough people that come in that I don't have to worry about stuff like that anymore.
Mhm.
I worry that once that happens, I'm going to get extremely lazy, which I
Mhm.
hope doesn't happen. But I would be happier being lazy and then stressing of making ends meet. But
Mhm.
it is nice because sometimes I do sit back and I have to just like I just go, I'm really getting paid to play video games. Like I literally just get to chill in my house all day and just do the thing that I want to do for the most part. And it's cool because some days I don't want to be seen or heard. So I can turn cam and mic off and still kind of get people
Mhm.
to show up. Not as many, but like I can do that. Um, not every day, but every once in a while if I feel like I need it and I just be more comfortable and
Mhm.
that helps prevent the burnout. And ultimately at the end of the day, I'm just getting paid to do the thing that I was going to do anyways.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's very nice in that regard. And I didn't think I would like it, and it wasn't really a goal for a while until I saw that it was possible. I remember Pace 2022 we were talking about this in McDonald's.
Hell yeah.
I remember we were talking about just like full-time content creation and stuff,
Mhm.
and at that point, like I was averaging 40 viewers. So it was something where I was like, this isn't something that I see happening. Like I can see it happening, but I can't see it happening like super soon. And I don't know if I would want to pursue it. And then directly after that event, my viewership shot up and I started making a lot more. And then it went down because I took a break and the ad revenue went down in January. And then I had to start streaming again because I got extra bills tacked on because my cart died and I had to get a new one. And my job, the hours that I was working, wasn't giving me enough money to pay for the car and my other bills. And I could have worked more days, but I absolutely despised that job and I didn't want to. I would have worked more days if I had to, but I also knew that if I streamed, I would get the money.
Mhm.
So I was using that as motivation. I was like, I have to just start streaming. I have to just be doing this. And I started doing it. And after a while, it just kind of, I felt comfortable. I was like, I am completely burnt out on my job. It is just mentally taxing. I feel like I'm working every single day because I was streaming every weekday and then I was working weekends.
Mhm.
So I never I there was like a month or two where I didn't have basically a day off.
Mhm.
It was like I stream 8 hours a day, 5 days in a row and then go work 8 hours. So I was like I need to stop this.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't want to let off on streaming because I want to keep the momentum going and I want to keep this growing, but I got to a point where I had a safety net and I was like I'm going to go for it.
Mhm.
And so far it's been working out and fingers crossed that it keeps working out, but it seems like it will. Um Pace helped um, boost viewers for a bit. I'm hoping this pace does as well, and
Mhm.
then it'll be good because that this upcoming pace is November, so I get back and it'll be prime ad revenue season, so I can kind of like build up money then. Then in January, I'm hoping I submitted to GDQ. I don't know if I'll get
Mhm.
in, but I hope I do.
Mhm.
Um, because one, it's always been something where I'm like, it'd be cool to do a GDQ run.
Mhm.
Just in general, that's the first speed run I watched was a GDQ run. So it would be cool to get there and do it myself. Also, it's within driving distance, cool experience. That would help my stream a lot.
Mhm.
Also, it's in January, which ad rev is low. I would have been coming off of like a very long streak of grinding, so it's a nice vacation. And the opportune time to take a vacation is when your revenue is already going to be low.
Mhm.
And also, maybe at that point, I'm going to be moving, and GDQ is on the way to the place that I would be moving to. So if I can just knock them all out at once, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
But
Now that's a
it very
plan.
yeah, where it's if I have enough money to move, then drive to Pittsburgh, which is like a 5 hour drive, drop a run, then drive to Colorado. That's my vacation. Get set up, get everything ready to go, come back, have the GDQ bump, and hopefully ride that into the sunset forever.
Now, yeah, that is a plan, all right. Now, I was on GDQ in the summer. Did that one-handed run. It was pretty cool. Um, the there were apparently like 70 or 80,000 people watching that one run.
So many people, dude. I can't even imagine that many
Yeah,
people.
it didn't boost me at all. So,
Oh,
yeah, so I wouldn't bank on that.
I'm not banking on it, but I'm hoping because I
Yeah.
didn't. Because going into the first pace, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna help or not, and it did. Like a bunch of people were like, "Oh, I saw you at pace." I was surprised at how many people there were. And
Mhm.
then I was going into the second pace, and I was like, there's probably a lot of overlap,
Mhm.
so it probably isn't gonna help as much. And it was right. It didn't help as much, but it did help,
Mhm.
and that helps because it that's like that event is a lot more Mario 64 focused.
Oh yeah.
So the people that are watching that are more inclined to watch Mario 64.
Mhm.
So it makes sense. But with GDQ, I'm hoping like it might not help, which
Mhm.
is fine because it's still something that I want to do anyway.
Oh yeah.
And it's a
It's a
cool
fun event.
experience. It's just the added bonus of like I'm just thinking about it, and for a while it was at GDQs. Mario 64 was the event that pulled in the most viewers, and it's been a while since one. It's been done vanilla. Simply did a run, but that was online.
Mhm.
So then it's also been a while since in person, and I think a lot more people are. I don't know, because I think a lot more people are going to be hyped about this GDQ because it's in a new spot and it's
Mhm.
more in person and all
And
this
it's the
stuff. So it might,
first non-online AGDQ in
yeah,
4
yeah.
years.
So I'm hoping like all of that combined, perfect storm. Ideally that helps a bit. And I don't think I'm not thinking it's going to be huge. I'm
Mhm.
not expecting to like gain hundreds of viewers or anything. But even like doing it and getting like I don't know 100 followers is like that's a
Mhm.
win, dude.
Yeah, it does do that usually. So,
It's every single time I get a I set that's another thing with progression is I set goals. I never set like sub goals. I always set the follower goals. Um
hmm.
and I always do them in increments of 100. One, so constantly hitting goals and constantly
Hmm.
seeing it. Two, I feel like if people see that the goal is pretty close to being reached, they are more likely to follow.
Mm.
And then like three, like those goals are good to set because every single time you get somebody that follows, it's another person that's possibly going to be showing up to your stream.
Mm.
So like even if you get 100 viewers and only three of them start coming, like if those three people start becoming regulars, like that's three more people, you know. that helps.
Hmm.
Every little bit helps. So I'm just like, I appreciate everybody. Every single person that comes in, if you just, even if they just lurk, they never say a word, they have the stream on mute. I don't care. As long as people are there or are following or whatever, like that helps with the mental and it helps keep the motivation to keep going.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully what everyone thinks of people watching that way, that everyone's just important
Hmm.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Because I feel some people maybe aren't that way, and it's like, well, then what are you doing? But I think everyone I know like appreciates everyone. I know I do. So yeah, I think
I know
that's the proper mindset to be in this
every
line of
once in a
work.
while, you see someone on Twitter that just like has the worst take of all time,
Yeah, so true.
where they're like, you can't afford to give me $5 a month.
Oh my god, I
It's like,
hate
get
those.
off the platform, dude.
Please. Oh my god.
Everybody's important.
Yeah,
I feel
like
bad banning people that I find annoying because I'm like, they show up and they boost my number. But if they're annoying, goodbye.
yeah, fair,
But
but
as long as you're not causing problems, dude, like just like I'm full time. So I feel like some people might feel like there's an expectation to help and like maybe they feel bad that they don't donate or they don't sub or whatever. And it's like I don't want people feeling like that. Just showing up and watching or just like watching the ads or whatever like that or just being a like even if you show up with an ad blocker and you're boosting the number, like I appreciate that so much. Why your time is so valuable and you're spending it on me or your computer real estate or resources or whatever you have dedicated to me, dude, what?
what? Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, I'm curious since you're full time now, you have any like tips and tricks or like things you want to talk about the whole full time situation
Schedule. Schedules
schedule?
everything. Oh my god, schedules everything.
Mm,
Um if I go live at a different time, viewerships are it's dead,
yeah.
you know? But consistently picking a time that works for you that you're comfortable with and showing up most days, making it a routine for other people. Like obviously you want to make it a routine for yourself. You want to get in the habit of doing the thing every day. Duh.
Mm,
But you also want to make it a habit of getting other people to show up. And if you're constantly a source for that, then people will just start showing up and you'll be their go-to. And I don't really worry about that taking one day off. It's like, oh, if I take one day off, like they can go find somebody else to watch or whatever for one day.
mm-hmm,
But the longer you take off, like I completely understand the mindset of streamers where they get paranoid, where it's like, oh, I don't want to take a week vacation or whatever because that means that that's a week where my viewers have to find somebody else to watch and they might start liking them and then they'll have it there and then they stay there.
mm-hmm,
So that sucks. That's just part of it, and but you can't let that stop you from coming back and just getting back on the schedule.
mm-hmm.
For me, I'm mostly a night owl, or historically I have been. For a very long time, like I would wake up at 3 p.m. and I would go to bed at 5 or 6 a.m.
Jesus.
And I was willing to just completely destroy my sleep schedule if it meant better hours for streaming. Like there's a period where Liam wasn't live every night. And when you look at Twitch statistics, like 12 a.m. Eastern to I think it's like 7 to 7 a.m. is statistically the best time to stream because there's so many people that are wanting to watch and there's so few channels. So you can there's a large pool of people that you can grab. Now, I wouldn't move to the night shift because I know that Liam has a huge capital, you know? And also it's just not practical.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
um there's other things in life, you know? There was a period where I could do that, but now it's like there's other things that I need to do. Um, but I know that I can somewhat reasonably wake up early-ish. Kind of got into this habit because of the first pace event I competed at because we had to be there early.
Mhm.
So I was like, I months in advance, I'm gonna start shifting my sleep schedule to be this.
Months in
So I'm not
advance.
so I'm not jet lagged when I get there. I'm glad I did it months in advance because it did take months to adjust to.
Hmm.
I think I was waking up at I shifted it. I think I started waking up at 12 and I would work at 3 or something like that. Or
Like
I can't
noon?
remember. Yeah.
That's when I woke up today.
So I think I was doing that for a while and then I shifted it back to 10 maybe and I started streaming in the morning before work. And then it was announced that we would be starting at 10
Mm.
for the event. So I was like, I need to move back to 8. So, and I managed to get it to 9. Getting to 8 took a while.
Hmm.
Like I felt awful for so long and it was very hard to be dedicated to it. And eventually I got it to where I was waking up at 8, going to bed at 12, and that's kind of what I aim for now.
Mhm.
But like the earlier I stream, the better because when I wake up, it's mostly Japanese runners that are like ending. Um Liam's already done
Mhm.
usually. Um and there's like very few people streaming. So I was like I can just start streaming at this time slot and for like 5 hours I'm one of like the only top runners for the most part. Sometimes there's people
Mhm.
recently it hasn't been because Cheese has been streaming 24/7. Simply has
Mhm.
had Simply sleep schedule changes, I think, so his time slot's always changing, so there's, like, a week where he'll be directly in competition with me and my numbers are lower, and then there'll be a week where it's not, and it's
Mhm.
just like, "Oh, it's weird that my revenue is going up and down, up and down, up and down, I wonder why." Um,
Hmm.
some people come back, so, like, Dowski's been streaming, sometimes Ouija will be early. So there's sometimes there's overlap, but for the most part, just being dedicated at the same time. I've gotten an audience where I have a lot of people that are like lurking when they work. Um, and you can get like super in depth about it all, and it can be like you can start playing it and being like, well, the cool thing about having people that are lurking while they're working is that they're probably not paying a lot of attention, so they're okay if you spam them with ads. So
That's the spirit.
there's there's always you can always look at positives anything,
Mhm.
and it's like I'm not streaming during this time slot because of that, but it is something that I've thought of.
Mhm.
um but it's like the earlier I stream, like I can start getting more people because less people go live to an extent, because the other day I woke up at 4 a.m. and I went live and I didn't have any viewers until like my normal time,
Mhm.
which makes sense because nobody is used to watching. And that's the thing, is people have to be used to you being there at a certain time
Mhm.
and just being available then. So like a lot of people are like, yeah, Cally's streams most days during the day. I'm always a person that people can click on and people can go to, and I'm always an option.
Mhm.
And I think another thing is I've structured my stream to be good in that regard, where for like the first 5 6 hours there's a higher probability of there being no competition or low competition in the directory. So during those hours, I'm doing runs because that's what most people want to watch. Then after 5 6 hours, I get tired. I lose focus. Maybe there's some more competition. I move to practice. So some people can stick around. My viewership would be higher because I was doing runs, so I can maintain a higher average while I'm doing practice for longer. Whereas if I were to start with practice, people might click in and then click out immediately, or they might not even click in at all. Um, I get my runs for the day. I get to do runs. I get to do practice. It's all structured very much to optimize everything and to
Mhm.
be consistent. And when you like lay it all out, it's kind of complicated, but it's also very simple.
Mhm.
Like the main thing is just have a schedule, be there, be reliable. People love reliable.
Fair enough.
It's like when I came back, my viewership, like I just got back from a vacation that was like 2 weeks long.
Mm,
And when I got back for a few days, my numbership was lower. Um, but after a few days of people realizing that I was there and I was an option again, and maybe the other people that they were substituting me with or whatever, maybe they stopped streaming or maybe they took a break or whatever,
mhm.
people start coming back and my viewership has bounced back to where it was. So it's just there's always the stress that people are going to get bored and they're going to move on.
Mhm.
Like that's always going to be there, but I think just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, as long as it's the proper thing, kind of reinforces that this is sustainable. That kind of shushes the bad brain.
Mhm. Makes sense. So that's like the number one tip is just a schedule.
Yes.
Mhm.
Obviously there's stuff like it doesn't matter if you're consistent if you don't provide something that people want to watch.
Mhm.
And that's I'm not a personality. There's some people that like my personality and they think I'm funny or whatever, or they like the fact that usually I'm quiet on stream or I'm more relaxed or whatever. And there's people that like that, but I feel like there isn't going to be a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm here because of him, you
Mhm.
know,
I have
which
zero
is
personality, so I understand.
which is like it sucks, but it's fine because like I expect that. Um, I know that people are there for the gameplay,
Mhm.
and I know that I can provide good gameplay. And I know I'm a top runner, and I know that top runners are kind of rare, and yeah, people will prefer the top runner that has a personality, or people will prefer the top runner that's better or more established or whatever. But I'm still carving out my own following and I'm
Mhm.
still providing some. I feel like if it sucks to say this, but it's the truth. If you're not great at the game and you don't have a personality, it doesn't matter if you're streaming the same time every single day. People aren't going to watch because they can get that anywhere.
Mhm.
So it has to be something that's like somewhat unique, I guess.
Mhm.
I, being good not isn't necessarily unique, but it's an option.
Yeah, being good isn't everything. I
Yeah,
can tell you that. So.
yeah. And it's also going to depend on what you're doing.
Mhm.
How big the like viewership of the game or whatever is, or how likely people are to be searching for new people.
Mhm.
Um like my biggest boosts in engagement and viewership have been after tournaments where people are like, I had no idea who you were until I saw this, and it's like I've been here for 3 years and I've been at this level for this long, and it's just like you could blame Twitch Discovery or whatever. I mean, people aren't really looking for new streams to watch, but if you give people the opportunity to discover it, you want to like maximize the amount of time that you can be out there, you
Mhm.
know? Some people are like, "Oh, I don't want to stream because my viewership's going to be low." And it's like, "Well, your viewership might be low because everybody else is streaming, but you're still out there
Mhm.
and you're still providing something that people do want to watch." And it's better to be out there because every single second that you're out there is just another opportunity for somebody to find you. And the more you do that, yes, it's you're going to grow, and yes, it's going to be slow, but you are growing, you are getting to the goal.
Mhm.
And at some point you cross a threshold where it's like, "Oh, I actually have like a crazy like I can get 100 people to watch me, like 100 people. That's bigger than my elementary school class. Like 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 everyone in the school in that grade. That's insane to me."
Yeah.
Like just visualizing how many people that is. That's insane. So I don't know. It's crazy. I love when people message and they're like, "Oh, I just found the stream and this is sick," or "I've been lurking for a while," and then,
Mhm.
it's like yesterday I was in Sweegee's stream and like we were co-streaming, we were in call, and some people were like, "Oh, who's Kally?" And it's like, yeah, I get that not everybody knows me and all this stuff, but also being there helps. And like Sweegee would give me a shout out, and I would get a bunch of followers, and I would get a bunch of people. And now I'm like, these are people that are like, they just discovered me, they just found me. Not all of them are gonna stay, but some of them will. So I'm gonna give them what I can, give what I think is reasonable, and the people that stay, and I'll just keep showing up so they don't leave.
Mhm.
Do what I can.
Yeah. There you go. I feel like you have a great mindset about streaming and
hmm
speedrunning, so that's
I
good.
doubt myself a lot. Like I can talk for days and days and days about this and how to be optimal and how
Mhm.
you should treat it and how you should go about it and how you should think about it, but insecurity, irrational. I still stress about it. I still freak out about it. And
Mhm.
it's just I need all of this evidence and I need to think about it and I need all of this data and everything to just like shush it, just overwhelm my mind and be like, no, look, you've been doing fine. This is how things work. Okay? Just keep doing this or start doing this and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like it'd be really fun to truly be full time and not have to stress, at least in
Mhm.
my brain. But it's so hard to reach that. Like, there's
Yes.
so many factors.
There's the uncontrollable ones are the scariest ones.
As someone who
Where
hates RNG, I'll put in quotes. Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's that's a fear is just like, oh, people just don't care anymore. People lose interest in speed running or whatever, or just something that's completely out of my control.
hmm
Or like five top runners all decide at the same time that they want to have a schedule and it's at my time slot. Like there's so many things that could happen that would just make my life 10 times harder. And I just have to hope that it won't happen because it's a low probability that it will. So I have to just tell myself, just keep doing your thing because if you just let it beat you down and you get paralyzed and you don't capitalize off of it, you don't take initiative, you don't seize the moment, that moment might pass and it's just going to get harder
hmm
and you're just have to catch up more and all this stuff. I'm very lucky in the fact that I was able to pay all my bills for the most part um by only working 2 days a week. Very lucky in that regard that my just how my lifestyle was and my living arrangements and all this stuff that I could 16 hours a week of work, I could get by and I could spend the rest of my week just focused on doing stuff. Because I can tell you, if I was working 8 hours a day, when I come home, I don't want to do anything. There's no way that I would be where I am today if I had to do that. Not only because of the lower amount of time, but I just would have no energy to do it. So it's very hard because getting to a point that is full time, like you have to be consistent, you have to show up, you have to dedicate so much time to it, and that takes away from time where you're maybe could be spent getting reliable income,
hmm
So it's very hard to balance it, and for most people, it's very hard to be able to work enough to pay their bills and have the energy to stream full time and get that to a point where they can get rid of just working.
hmm
So it's yeah, I'm very lucky in that regard, and that's also another reason of why I can do full time is that my living expenses are so low. I'm like, if I can get $1,500 a month before tax, I'm fine. It's not comfortable, but I'm fine. So it's obviously your different living expenses is going to change at what point it's viable.
hmm
But for me, especially because being viable is so early on and so low, I can now dedicate a lot more time to it. and grow it to a point where it isn't as scary, but it is much more viable.
Mhm.
Like I in my mind, assuming it scales linearly, I'm like 300 viewer average is very comfortable. If I can average 300 viewers, like get to that point, I will be very, very comfortable. I will be able to save a decent amount. Nothing crazy, but I will be able to get like I'll be out of debt and I'll be able to have like an emergency fund and I won't have to worry about taking some time off. It's stuff like that, but getting to that point it takes a while.
Mhm.
So, all I can do is I don't know when it'll happen, but I know that if I keep at it, it will happen because I'm focusing on getting better and I'm focusing on the right things and all that stuff. So,
There you go. Yep. So there's the Sigma grind set, essentially. Except it's like very like normal sounding, not what people make it out to be.
well, I think a lot of people think that optimal is just maximizing hours,
Mhm.
like maximizing the quantity of hours. And I completely disagree with that. I think it's the quality of hours. Yes, you
Mhm.
need a decent quantity, but those hours need to be well spent. This applies to speedrunning too, where I'll see people if you're playing 12 hours a day, uh, you're gonna burn out. And like maybe you're progressing faster than the person that's playing 4 hours a day, but you're gonna burn out, and then the person who's playing 4 hours a day is gonna keep playing, and then they'll pass you. So 12 hours is not optimal long term.
Mhm.
That's just how it is. 4 hours is more optimal. Because if you can just keep going, if you reach a higher level, even if it takes longer, there's a balance between quality and quantity. And I think a lot of people are very hard coded and have been taught that you need to just push, 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 push.
Mhm.
You can't relax. You can't slow down. You can't stop. You can't take any rest days. You can't, you know. And I think that that's terrible because you need those rest days so you can keep working at it. People say that I'm extremely hardworking. People say that I put in a lot of time, and I agree. But the reason why is because I know when I need to take it. I know that I need to take a day off. I know what I need to work on to prevent it from becoming stale and from burning out. Like getting good at Mario 64, there have been multiple times where there have been people in my skill level who seem like they are progressing much faster than me, and I think, oh my god, they are going to outpace me forever. They're going to go past me and they're going to just keep going and I'm never going to catch up. And every single time they burn out, they stop either actually every single time they haven't passed me except once. And then I passed the one time that happened, I passed them. So it's people say that I progressed very quickly and got good extremely fast, which I disagree because historically there have been people who have gotten to my level faster,
Mhm.
like Liam. Um, in a shorter amount of time. The thing is that I haven't taken an extended break. The longest break I've ever taken was earlier this month. And that was, let's see, I played on the 3rd, and then the next time I played, actually, I played during it.
Mm.
So I don't even know. The longest I the longest I can guarantee that I have gone without touching this game at all is 6 days.
Hmm.
So that's why is I've been able to make it healthy and make it so I can play for years on end without a super extended break from the game. That's how you have an optimal grind. Not doing 12 hours a day every single day for months on end because you're just going to burn out, you're going to get sick of it and you're going to stop. And it just destroys you too. You're all those people are tricking them, either they're unhappy or they're tricking themselves into thinking that they're happy.
Mhm.
And just I don't want any of that.
Fair. So what do you think goes into having like the right mindset and the right grind set then? What's optimal?
Um, it's gonna depend on person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's a lot of factors. Just it depends on environment and it depends on the person itself. Like you could take like you could clone yourself and put them in a different environment and it's gonna be different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the main thing is like learning how to listen to yourself to know when it's time to take a break or when you need to slow something down. There's it's very hard to strike the balance. There's a lot of people that don't do enough, and there's a lot of people who try to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very difficult. And there's no equation, and there's no way that you can just kind of like figure this out. Or I can tell you and be like, this is how you figure this out. This is how you figure out how many hours you need to play and what you need to do and blah 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 blah. It's per person, per environment, and all this stuff. And I don't even know how to quantify it. It's I in 2014 found speedrunning. I also started playing Counter Strike, and I chose Counter Strike and played Counter Strike pretty much religiously for 6 years. That was the first thing that I did that I was interested in getting extremely good at, and that taught me how to learn, taught me how what emotions I'm feeling, when I'm feeling them, why I'm feeling them, all of this stuff. So when I start speedrunning in 2019, I can apply those from day one. And I'm still building on them. I'm still learning and be like, okay, I consciously don't really feel like I'm burnt out, but I'm noticing under these circumstances, I'm feeling this way. And that kind of indicates that I'm burnt out. Like before I took my vacation, I didn't I didn't consciously feel like I was burnt out, but I found that during super small mistakes that did not matter at all, I was getting irrationally upset at and I was getting extremely frustrated. And it's like, maybe it's because I've been doing this for 3 months straight without a break, like an extended vacation. Because historically, when I take like a couple days off and come back, those frustrations go away and I'm no longer upset at these. So I learned, hey, I'm listening to this, I have this symptom or whatever. It probably indicates this. I'm probably burnt out. I need to take a break. So I took the vacation. I came back and I haven't been as upset at those mistakes. Like the first day back, I was just like, whatever, dude. Like it is just expected. I just came back from a break. It's been a while. I, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like I said with the cycling different stars or different things, not spending the whole day on it. It's part of that is doing that. Like just filling up the hours that you spend need to be they need to strike a balance of productive and fun and also you can't do too many of them because then it starts leaching into like your sanity and your mental.
Mm-hmm.
So it's some people are going to be able to play for 8 hours a day. Some people are only going to be able to play for 4 hours a day, regardless of what they do. And learning how to realize that is kind of important and kind of figuring that out and being like, well, I feel just taking a step back to evaluate it, being like, I played for 4 hours today. How am I feeling? And just noticing the patterns. Be like, oh, I've noticed that when I do these really long runs or like these like stretches of time where I'm playing like 9 hours a day, I start feeling really bad. Or I notice I'm getting into this mindset. Is you start picking up on stuff like that and you can apply that and be like, okay, well then I need to not do that. I need to cut the hours back and just reach a point where it feels right. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be good at that or are good at that because it's something that you have to learn. And just traditionally, like historically, I've been very good at finding that balance very quickly. Just one of the talents that have been gifted with, and I use it a lot. And I'm very grateful for it because it helps with everything else. So It depends, really.
Hmm. So, like, if you're starting to get like a little upset about things, you usually should or shouldn't just like take maybe a day or two off and come back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just find that kind of balance.
Mhm.
And with
Like, if
streaming, you could like just stream something casual for a day too, if you don't want to like give
yeah,
up streaming.
yeah, exactly. Or this thing in runs is getting me upset. Okay, another thing that I said for a while is it's good to do multiple categories. I think that also helped because I would cycle 16, 70, and 120.
Hmm.
So I would do one for a while and then I would get a little bit bored and I would move to another one.
Hmm.
And recently I've been doing 120 for a very long time. So I've kind of gone against that. But for a while that's what I was doing is I would change the environment a bit. And sometimes recently this is what I've been doing is I'm stuck at the start. I just want to play the game. I'm
Hmm.
bored. I'm tired of the start. I'm tired of trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. I'm gonna go into practice and I'm gonna go practice upstairs. I'm gonna go do upstairs. That just changes the environment. I'm doing something else. It's fresh. Um, fresh keeps it from being stale. Kind of how it goes. And when it's not stale, it's easier to keep a level head. So it's if I'm getting frustrated at a mistake that doesn't matter, I take a step back and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Why? It doesn't rationally make any sense. So obviously, it's something that I'm not consciously thinking about because it's just a knee jerk reaction. It's emotions, it's subconscious. So subconsciously, maybe I'm burnt out. Maybe I need to do something else. I need to just take a day off or whatever. Just being in tune with that and your emotions is very important. Applying that, just anything. Um, very, very beneficial to understanding how you're feeling and how to go about it and how to solve it if it's a problem.
Hmm. Yep, makes sense. Um, yeah, I've been on my own mental health journey for about a year now, year and a half. So I like to absorb as much information as I can about having better mindsets because I'm sure as hell I ain't perfect yet, especially when it comes to speedrunning things.
I don't think anyone is, and I don't think
No,
anyone can be.
yeah. Well, the only thing you can do is improve. So,
Yes, you can do what you can.
mhm.
That's important.
Like, let me tell you, I haven't put another hole in my wall in a while. So,
Yeah, like
that's
I
that improvement.
when I was younger, I broke a headset once, and then I was
Yeah,
like, never again. I'm not doing that
yeah.
ever again.
I,
I'm never gonna
especially as
get
a
to that
kid,
level.
I used to break shit all the time, and I'm so glad I've gotten over that.
Yeah, the only like I accidentally broken stuff. Like
Yeah.
I've one time I went to hit my desk and I accidentally hit my mouse, and it broke the
Mm.
switch or made the switch on the mouse bad. I don't like hitting my desk, but hitting my desk is much better than breaking things. But I notice when I start hitting my desk or start going to raise my hand, sometimes you'll see this on my stream, is when I start getting frustrated and I make a mistake, I will raise my hand and then I will just stop
Hmm.
because I catch myself
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
the
and
thing.
being able to catch myself is like, oh, that's so much important. That's progress. And then I sit there and I go, why am I getting upset at? Why am I feeling like this? And it's usually because it's like passion. You're passionate about something and it's not
Hmm.
going how it should. There's other
Exactly.
things like there's like I suffer from depression. It's not like super major or anything.
Mm.
Like there are people that have it way worse than me. But there are a lot of days where I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. I just want to just freaking do nothing. Having things to look forward to and having a routine helps a lot with that. Um, but there still are times where I'll get hit with an episode and be like, nothing's gonna help except just riding it out.
Hmm.
And in the moment, like it can feel like it won't ever end, but also being able to just accept it and being like, yeah, this fucking sucks, but I'm just gonna not like I'm gonna push myself a little bit, but not too much. I'm gonna listen to my body. And it's like sometimes I'm not feeling it, and I'll just stay in bed, and that's okay. Just having like a bad day or whatever, or multiple bad days. is perfectly okay. Um, like I've gone and like I take medication and stuff. I used to go to therapy. I've done things, you know, and I've listened to my body and I've listened to how I respond and stuff. And I know that generally the episodes don't last and I can ride them out and it's okay to just nothing causes them. It's all in the brain, just the brain doing random shit that you nothing in your day life can control how the your brain's moving around and stuff. It just so happens that it lands on it sometimes and it's like we're depressed now and just writing it out, stuff like that, anxiety. It's the same thing as learning how what triggers it, if anything. Sometimes it'll just randomly happen, how to cope with it.
Mhm.
All that stuff is just stuff that as long as you're thinking, you're constantly using your brain and thinking about it, like you can always improve. But a lot of those, a lot of the anxiety and depression can be caused from thinking too much.
Mhm. Oh
So
yeah, it's fun.
it is a it is a balance that needs to be because like I just explained so many different things,
Mhm.
and it's like, yeah, it's because I think about everything. And it's
Mhm.
like, wow, that's crazy. He thinks about everything. He's so smart. He can do all these things. And it's like, okay, cool. But then I overthink and now I'm stuck in bed now. So
Rip.
I can't apply any of the things that I've thought about,
Mhm.
you know? And
Yeah.
it can bring like a lot of torment, but it's just gets better with time, I guess, because you just
Yep.
kind of learn how to cope with it, how to deal with it, and live with it.
Yeah, it can be hard. Um, I'm a fellow. Well, depression's been better now, but yeah, definitely anxiety. I have GAD, so it'd be like that. And then meds and therapy have helped a lot. I'll notice if I like forget to take a pill, the next day I will like almost definitely have some sort of depressive or anxiety episode. It's like, God damn it. Like
Yeah.
it's so like needed for some reason. But yeah, I've noticed my like anger stems from passion as well. Because it's like only through speedrunning is when I'll get irrationally upset. And it's
Yes.
because I want to perform well. And if I'm not, I feel like I'm failing. And it's hard to get over that. Like I don't get horribly pissed anymore, but it's still noticeable, I guess.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to just get that taken and get it out of there. But yeah, it's interesting. Like figuring out mental health stuff has been very interesting to me. So,
I think weaponizing it in a good way,
mm,
like, we probably it's like the motivation, you know? So, I find a lot of the times okay, first of all, some people just get very upset at the game when they're starting out, and I'm like, "It is clear you're not, like I don't know why you shouldn't be so passionate about it." They're probably not passionate about it,
hmm
but they're just getting upset. This isn't for you, I'm sorry. If you're not having fun at all, it's not for you. There needs to be some fun.
hmm
Yes, there's things about speedrunning that are not fun, you know? There's some practice things or things that you have to do that are not fun, but you have to do them in order to be good,
hmm
and if you wanna be good and you can have fun along the way, then you can kinda, like, put the parts aside that suck. So there are a lot of times I've been much better lately because of full-time streaming.
hmm
It's been way, way easier to do the practice and things that I actually need to do because I'm constantly playing. And I
hmm
have a routine where I'll do runs for a while and then I'll move to practice. There have been a lot of times where I feel like I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And either there'll be an event or something that I care about that pulls me out and has me put both feet in, like pace.
hmm
Um, I actually remember, um, being DM'd about this last pace and how it was going to be qualifiers a few weeks before it was even announced. And I remember just immediately, I think I was casualing a game and just immediately quitting out of it and just loading up the game and practicing it, being like, I have to start. I have to start.
Mhm.
I have to get back in shape. You
Mhm.
know, I can't be half-assing this anymore. There'll be stuff like that. There'll also be times where um it just keeps progressing. Uh, it just gets more and more frustrating. You feel like you're slumping more and more and more, or things are going worse and worse and worse. And practice would fix it. Yeah, maybe you try to practice. Like for me, it'll be like I keep messing up upstairs and it's pissing me off, and I feel terrible. So let me go practice upstairs. And I start going to practice upstairs, and it's going terribly, as it always does. And I just get extremely upset and depressed, and I'm just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. It's just
Mhm.
too frustrating. So I stop. Eventually, it reaches a point of frustration where it boils over, and you go, I know it's going to suck.
Mhm.
I know it's going to be awful, and I'm going to play bad, but I have to do it. I have to do it to get back to where I was
Mhm.
in order to push through. And once that happens, it's way easier. Once that truly happens, like the mistakes, you just brush them off. And yeah, you play bad, but it's not affecting you as much. And you know it's part of the process. You know, like I'm passionate about this. I care about this so much. I'm more tolerant. I know it's going to take time.
Mhm.
Just spend time on it and you get to where you need to be. So like weaponizing the passion can be good, but it does suck when it's beating you down and you're
Mhm.
like, this I it's so frustrating to play bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
I just want to
Why I
do
get
good.
it. Oh yeah. Been there every day, but yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how to more and more get the mental to where I want it to be, where I can perform well, not get upset, all that fun stuff. It's a lot of work.
Hmm.
So, as much information you can absorb about it, it's helpful. So,
Yes. Uh, the more information, yeah, the
mhm.
more in the know you are, the more you can apply things,
Mhm.
um, and that just makes it easier. You stand on the shoulders of giants, you know,
Yeah.
like the other people have figured a lot of this stuff out, and listening to everybody else's collective experiences and stuff helps form your own philosophy and
Mhm.
everything, and can help people. Um, that's why I like doing like interviews and stuff like this, because some people will watch it and they'll take stuff away and they'll be like, I never thought about it like this, or
Mhm.
I never realized that this was something that crosses your mind. And they start applying it. And some people will do that earlier on in their journey than others. And that means that there's more time for them to just progress and push the envelope further of just like understanding how emotions and everything play into competition.
Mhm.
That's another thing, is like this isn't stuff that's speedrunning specific. This is stuff
Yeah.
that applies to anything. Getting good at anything, be a skill, a hobby, a job. It's applicable to everything. Like Counter Strike taught me how to learn. It taught me how my brain ticks and what works for me. Um, and I could apply that to school. You know, that helped with school. It helped with Mario, and but my mind's still open to learning new things, and I am learning new things.
There you go.
I'm learning about like streaks and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good way of getting the brain to do stuff. And I feel like that could be the same. You could do that with flashcards for trivia. Like you just go through, and it's once you get this one 5 times in a row, you take the card out. Um, it's applicable to like everywhere.
Mhm.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah. It is cool. I know one thing I struggle with specifically is motivation. Do you, is that something you've been able to figure out?
It's part of like the weaponizing the passion and
Mm,
like the feelings. Um, for a while it was just out of pure love of the game, and wanting to progress
mm-hmm,
and changing goals. Okay, having a goal that's reasonable, very important. Not super short term that it's like easy, but also not long term enough that it you don't feel like you're making progress. So I'm very much like um once I got to 1.4x, when I was at 147, my next goal was always just the next minute barrier.
mm-hmm.
It was always okay, now 146, okay, now 145, now 144. I skipped 144, but either way.
Oh well.
Um um just the next barrier, like, it can't be you cannot start out and go, "I want world record."
Hmm.
What the f what? You're never gonna feel like you're making progress.
Nope.
You're never gonna get the dopamine hit of crossing a minute barrier or whatever. You're never gonna feel like you're that much closer because you're so far away, and you're gonna lose motivation, you're gonna burn out, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So having, like, realistic goals that are achievable, that helps. Cycling categories helped me because it was I would hit a goal and then I would move to another category, and, it's because I was playing the game doing the one category, it's fresh enough going to another one that I'm now playing significantly better than I was the last time I played this category, so it feels kind of easy. So I can set a higher goal there, and it just keeps progressing and you just cycle it. That only goes for so far for, like, the love of the game. Some people can go forever just off of it, but that's when I would start getting, like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out is I would be losing motivation, and I would just kinda be, like, doing it, but kinda not super focused, just kinda half-assing it. For me, a lot of tournaments helped because I would do a lot of competitions, and I wanted to do well at them, so that would force me to do well and to
Hmm.
do proper practice. Um, like, the pace events, hearing that they were coming even months in advance would get me going for 6 months, you know? Like, let's see, I found out there was the month of the event, so that was 0. There was a gap month, qualifier, 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 so 4 months. I probably either found out 5 or 6 months before the event that it was going to happen. So, for 5 to 6 months, I'm focused. I'm motivated. I have a goal in mind. There's an event that I wanna do well at. Um, and every month there's a benchmark because there was a qualifier for it. So it wasn't like there was always something that it was kind of imminent that I had to work towards.
Hmm.
So that kept the motivation high. Yes, it was frustrating at times, but also the motivation helped be like, yeah, it's going to suck. Like you've experienced this before. You've experienced this grind. You've done it before. And there are parts of the brain that are like, it's gonna stop eventually. Eventually, you're gonna hit a wall, and you're gonna peak, and it's over. And I've always thought that, and it's always been proven wrong. So I just have to keep trying and keep going and give it a genuine effort until I'm proven otherwise. Um, after Pace, um, I really wanted to stream full time. So I was like, I'm gonna try to ride this wave, and I got like a bit of a bump, and I'm like, I'm gonna ride it as much as I can. I pushed a little harder than I normally would, where I was like, yes, I feel like I'm burning out, but I need to do this because I yes, this is negatively affecting my mental, but I don't think it's negatively affecting it enough to the point where it's going to be a problem. I think that this will be beneficial for me because I can do this short term. I can grind for like a month or two where I'm working every single day or whatever because I'm streaming 5 days and then working the weekends. I can do that. I can get to a point where I can decide if I want to go full time or not. And when I go full time, I'll have 2 days off a week. And that's when I can take my vacation. That's when I can take my break. So I had that to work towards. So I have that. Then I went on vacation. Now I'm back. Now my motivation's high because I'm like I have bills to pay. I want to get good. There's a new trick out. I could get world record. You know, I'm close to 137 even without the trick. Like I feel like I could get 137 any day. Like I'm
Yeah.
motivated. I want to do this. And I know it's going to run out, but I have a bunch of different things that are motivating me, like from a bunch of different sources that I can pull from. And I'm trying to keep it healthy so I don't burn out. It's a habit, so I'm hoping to ride that as long as I can. As of right now, I'm also like, I want to go kind of hard until November because November's pace. That's my
Hmm.
vacation. So it's like I look at it and I go, yeah, I could stream like most days for a month and a half. You know, I can do that, and then I can have a nice vacation,
Hmm.
um, compete, come back, be rejuvenated. You know, do that for a couple more months, take a break in January. It's stuff like that. Just always having something to look forward to seems very important as well.
Okay.
Steaks.
Mm. Yeah.
You need steaks.
Steaks. Could go for a
I go for.
steak right now.
I could go for a steak.
Probably not what you meant.
Steak quesadilla.
Mm. How do you like make steaks though? Not the food, obviously, but
Um, for me, it's for me, it's kind of easy because there's a bunch of tournaments.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the same. It's probably not. I'm sure there's tournaments for other games, but not as frequently.
No.
Um, which is unfortunate.
Mm.
It, I feel guilty that I picked like the most popular speed game. Like,
Oh, I mean, it's
I'm
not
in a.
your fault, but yeah.
I know, but I'm in like a very privileged position. You
I've been
know.
a I've very obviously been an advocate for having other games be featured in tournament styles, so
Yeah. So with SM64 being so popular and so big, there's usually tournaments going on that I'm in or I'm doing that motivate me to stick around and be playing. Um, I don't know. That's like the main one that I've used to give me stakes,
mhm.
or the one that I feel like gives me stakes. There's that streaming full time. Those are stakes. If I
Mhm.
stop playing, I stop making money, and
Probably
then
not a good thing.
my bills don't get paid. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Stakes.
Okay.
So
You can
that
always
helps me
like find
focus.
something, I guess.
Hmm.
Even like arbitrarily, as long as it matters in your mind, I guess. It's like,
Yes,
okay.
doesn't matter if it's arbitrary, as long as it matters to you
Mhm.
for whatever reason. As long as it gets you to focus, because that's another thing is like I have ADHD, like primarily inattentive. It's
Mm.
like I daydream a lot. If I'm not like engaged, like I'm disconnected. I'm out. I'm doing whatever else in my brain. Um, which is like part of the reason why I'm like I want intro skip. Because if I start failing LBLJ or Dark World a bunch of times, then I'm gonna check out, and then I'm not paying attention, and I'm playing worse, and now I'm stuck forever. Um, and I'm just wasting my time for a minute. That's a different
Yeah.
conversation. Most people disagree with that, whatever. But um, that's why I think people play better in runs typically than in practice is because there's stakes. Uh, I feel like I play better in a race that I feel like matters. If there are stakes on the line, if it's a tournament I care about, and I know the opponent is like very capable of beating me, I care a lot more. I'm focused more. Those runs typically tend to be good.
There you go.
I'm a good I like the pressure. Well, I like that I play well under the pressure. I don't like feeling pressured, but the pressure helps. So that's another thing with like the events and stuff and playing on stage is that gives me a lot of pressure. It gives me a lot of anxiety to do, and it's very hard. Um, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to, you know, like there's a lot of pressure involved. But when it comes down to it, I perform. There's been very few times where when it matters, I've completely choked, at least in competition.
Mhm.
Um, so I know I play well under those circumstances, and I figure I sit back and go, why is that the case? Well, it's because it matters. It matters to me. Whereas when I'm doing attempts or whatever, I have infinite amount of days that I can just spam resets over and over and over again. Whereas a tournament, one and done. Or like an LTA, you have 3 days, you know, or X amount of time. So those stakes, I want to be in shape for that and I want to play well during that. That gets me going for a while, or for a lot of the year. But when I don't have any of that stuff, it's a lot harder.
Mhm.
But now I'm gonna be able to pull into the I need to do this because I have car payment and rent and food and all this stuff that I need to buy.
Oh, money. What a fun thing.
Yeah. I just want to be able to stream when I want to stream, man.
Yeah, that's all. That's
I
all.
want to do no mic, no cam runs in a VC every day. Like what? You tell me I have to show up and talk to people?
Ugh, I
Some
know,
days I
right?
don't want to do that. But
Yep. But I guess sometimes you kind of have to.
and making it fun and tolerable and enjoyable and all those things is very important.
Mhm. Definitely.
Tolerable at a minimum. Obviously, you want it to be fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. So we're not speedrunning to for tolerability,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Have a tolerable time.
Have a tolerable time. True.
My PB is tolerable.
This
It's not where I want to be,
spider's
but the
so.
spider's still here.
Oh yeah, I've been watching him go around the room this whole time. Although now it's getting closer to above my head, so I'm starting to get scared. The spider jump scare may happen. Who knows?
I had one the other day come down.
Mm.
Like, how tall is a normal ceiling? I used to know this.
Mine's like 8.5 feet.
I don't remember how big a door is.
I don't know.
Uh,
Go that way,
I don't know.
please.
I don't
Jesus.
know. Maybe like 9 feet up is the ceiling or something. Um, I had a spider come all the way down almost to the floor. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
He's
This
going
thing was
down.
huge too.
Oh, yeah. This one ain't too big, but usually I get like the very generic common house spiders that are so like thin,
Mm-hmm.
but this one's got some thick to it. So
Some girth.
it's got some girth, so I don't know. Anyway, I think that was a good mental health discussion. I
Mhm.
feel enlightened.
I'm glad.
Very good. Um, so it's funny we've gone on so many tangents. I don't think we've talked about your history through speedrunning really at all. So I want to make sure we get that through. So when you said you like started watching in 2014, right? What got you like into watching it? What was that first
So,
thing?
so to go a little before that is when I was a kid, we got an N64,
Hmm.
Mario 64, and I played it a lot. Like I got 120 stars multiple times, and it's funny looking back at how many things that I did that are like, yeah, this guy's gonna become a speedrunner.
Yeah.
Because I was long jumping everywhere. I'm surprised I didn't learn that doing a dive would stop your damage, like for
Hmm.
fall damage, because I would do ground pounds. Um,
Hmm.
I would always try coming up with alternative ways to get a star and be like, this is clearly the intended way. I'm going to come up with a different way, you
Hmm.
know? I remember at one point trying to do lava boost. Like I didn't even know if it was possible or not. But I
Hmm.
just threw myself at the volcano like a million times just trying to get up. Never did. I remember I found a video of after you go upstairs and there's a spiral staircase and you jump through the ceiling. I remember
Hmm.
finding a video about that, and I was doing that when I was a kid.
Hmm.
I remember finding a BLJ video, but not being able to do them, and I was like, "This is fake."
Hmm.
And I'm very surprised with all of that happening. I didn't find out about speedrunning until 2014,
Hmm.
where one day back then, when I would go to YouTube, I would go to my subscription page,
Hmm.
and it would just be all chronologically recently posted all of the videos. I would do that.
I still
Um,
do that.
I have not done that in a very long time. I trust the algorithm
All right.
homepage. Just give me everything. Same
Yeah.
thing with Twitter. I just feed me whatever you want. But that was the default page
Hmm.
in the app I was using. So one day I opened up YouTube and the first thing was Siglemic's GDQ 2013 run, I
Hmm.
think. Um in an hour, 47 minutes, 48 seconds or something like that. I think that was the time. And I watched it because I was like, what is this? Like I love Mario 64. Played that probably thousands of hours when I was a kid. I'm gonna be real.
There you go.
um I watched it, I fell in love with it, and I was like, this is sick. And so I did some more research about it, and I found out that SGDQ 2014 was coming up, and Siglamic was gonna be there. Uh so I went and watched it live on Twitch.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you went and watched it live in
No,
person.
that'd be sick.
Yeah.
But no. Um I have an Instagram picture where it's a screenshot from 2014 and it's like cyclamic hype or something like that.
Hell yeah.
um so I followed some of the other people, like I followed Narcissa, who was at the time Cosmo.
Hmm.
And like I didn't know anything about OT or anything, but just one night randomly I hop in their stream and they get the 1810 or 12 or whatever they got. And I was like, dang, I just watched a world record live. That's cool.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
and and like I would, like I said, I would mess around every once in a while with speedrun stuff. Like I didn't know that there was a cannon list set up, so I would just like throw myself at the wall and I got it a couple times. I remember when I first discovered it, I was in the basement. My setup was in the basement, and behind me was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a shelf thing, and it
Hmm.
had the CRT TV on it, and that's where the N64 was when I was a kid. It was always there and it was hooked up to the CRT. So what I would do is I would be like playing Counter Strike or whatever, and I would die, and in between rounds I would turn around, and I would go through the intro and I would practice Lackey skip.
Hell yeah.
So I was doing that because I didn't know how you practice. I didn't know there were codes or anything like that. But it never got anywhere. 2015, I was on an emulator and I learned some things. Like I remember I learned Owless. I still didn't know that there was a canonless setup.
Hmm.
Um, that never turned out to be anything. But over the years, like I would watch, like I would keep up with it. Like I would follow Cheese, Punke, and Simply, and all these people. And every once, like they would just be on my Twitch feed, and every once in a while I would click on them, and I would see the world record was going down and all this stuff. But yeah, it wasn't until 2019 where I was getting probably bored of Counter Strike, and I probably saw the world record, Cheese world record, and I was like, I start playing this casually because it's been so long. And then I got bored and was like, let's do a run. That was fun. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Okay, now this is my side thing. Now I'm doing Counter Strike and Mario.
Hmm.
And then like a year later, or even less than a year, so like 9 months later, I just completely dropped Counter Strike one day. I was just like, done. And I was only doing speedrunning, and that was my focus. And I remember ever since 2014, I always was like, this is crazy. speedrunning is insane. This world record is sick. Sig is awesome. And I was like, it would be nuts if someday I got 143.53 because that's what world record was at the time. And it was very awesome after a couple years of playing to get that time and be like, wow. Because originally I set a goal. I set like typical goals. Like I started spamming runs for 120. And I was like, I want to bop Dragorn. It was just like 21040 or 2940. I always forget which one. So that's the first goal. Then it's sub 2. And then I was like, I want to beat the first run that I watched. So I went to 147.
Mm-hmm.
So I set my target at 147. It was like, okay, that's my long-term goal. And then I get it. And I'm like, okay, my next like super long-term goal is bopping Sig, I guess. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get a 146. Okay, now let's get a 145. Okay, and now I've been on pace to bop this time a few times. That's sick. Then I bop Sig. I'm like, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
we have a bug in here.
Oh shit.
Back. uh,
Special
uh,
guest.
yeah, 4 in the interview. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's so many.
Um, so that happened, and I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. And then, like a couple years later, I bopped what world record was when I started running, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point where it's like, oh my god, wait, I can get record?
What?
What? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's sick seeing the progress, and I'm just like, record would be cool. I know that Sonic Salt said that he wants to make an updated 120 video at some point, and I'm like, I need to get in on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, but I'm like, goal is 137. After that, I guess world record. If it's still at 137, then it'll be 136, and then 135.
Then
You
134
know,
and then
it'll just keep moving. Well, after I think
1.
I think it'll get to 134, but I think realistically it's going to end at 135 for a very long time.
Now,
Which
yeah.
which which sucks
Yeah.
because I think 135 is a much uglier sounding and looking number than 136.
Mhm.
At least what I think the game will end at, a 134 sounds better, but I don't think I want to go for that ever. I can't
Mhm.
even see how that's possible. Really? Well, I can see how it's possible. It just sounds extremely, extremely painful.
I like how for the longest time we were talking about, oh, 136 is like essentially the perfect run right now. Now it's suddenly in a day it's 135.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, I was like 136 is possible, and it's been proven to be like we can get a mid 136, and I was
Mhm.
like, I think 135 is where it'll end, where all the
Yeah,
dust will settle. And now that we have a minute time save, everything goes down by 1 minute.
exactly.
So I'm like, assuming I don't burn out, like plan is just keep doing what I can or what I want to do. And as of right now, that would probably end up being getting to 136
Mhm.
or 135, which might get record in the process. And then if that's the case, I reach that minute goal and I still want to play. I might do this before then, but it would be go to the other categories and get good times there.
Mhm.
And and the other platforms. It's like if I'm gonna be playing this game, like I don't know how long I'm gonna be playing this. I could wake up one day and not want to do this anymore.
Mhm.
That could happen. But assuming that doesn't, and I'm playing long term, like a decade or whatever, and I stick with this game the whole time. Well, I'm like, yeah, well then super ultra long term goals would be, you know, crossing these minute barriers in every category, maybe getting world record in all of them. And then after you do that, doing it on all the platforms. 5 out of 5,
Who
15 out of
cares?
15, bro.
Lamau.
After that, then it's like, yeah, I don't really worry that there's gonna run out of things to do. There's
Mhm.
always gonna be something to do. There's always gonna be a goal that you can work towards. So I don't really
Mhm.
worry about that. I do worry that people get bored of it, but you know, it's been around for so long, and I think I don't know.
It's interesting that you can find so much to do with that, like just those like 5 categories or whatever, when there's
Yeah,
category extensions and other games too. Like you could just do whatever the fuck.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like long term, I feel like I'm gonna end. I don't know, because I've always outlast people. That's optimal. Is being able to outlast them. I don't need to like super catch up or be here at a certain point. Suigi has a 1435 and 16 star, and it's fucking insane, and no one's close to it. That's great. That's cool. If I dedicate 10 years of my life to it, I'm sure I would beat it. Um, at some point.
Probably.
So there's always something like it feels so far away, but with time, like you can get there. It's not invincible. It's not indestructible. It's beatable. Everything's beatable.
Slip's getting pretty
So
close. Like, yeah, make it happen.
so I'm like, long term, if I was playing this game, assuming that there was always an audience there, which I would hope that there would be, which I kind of feel like it would be the same thing that would happen with that happened with OOT, where it's like way less popular, but like ZFG still pulls very high viewers. If I were to just outlast everybody and get to the top and then just be like, I want to do everything in the game, that gives me something to do for a while. And that's nice, knowing that I would have something. And like at that point, yeah, I'd probably would have enough of a following that people would follow me to other things. I don't know. Found it. Um uh so like maybe I get bored and maybe I want to do another speed game, because there are other games and stuff that I do want to do eventually. Um but I don't know. I feel like it'd be sick working towards 15 out of 15 and then all the category extensions and then just being like, now it's actually like dead. And you
Hey.
guys thought it was dead 10 years ago. Like, look at it now. Look at this
Yeah.
domination. I don't know.
Whatever you want to do, man.
um, is that gonna happen? I don't know. Cool with it not happening. It's not something that I'm like super like motivated or like, this is what I want to do and this is what is going to happen and this is how it's going to go. It's just like, if I keep going down this path indefinitely, it will reach that point with enough time. So yeah.
Yeah. But it's definitely more important to focus on the short-term goals rather than long-term. So
Yeah.
it's
I'm not
not,
saying,
yeah.
like, I'm not even setting my goal really as world record in general. Like, I have it in my title now, kind of cheeky, like,
Well,
world
hey, you
record
put
world
WR,
record.
you are going to get more viewers. That's just how it works. So,
Yeah, I did the world record attempts tag. Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. I already thought that I was capable of getting world record. It would have been an insane run,
Yeah.
like very, very peak, like absolute god run. Like, holy shit, I don't know what to do now because I need to go update things type run. But it definitely was possible.
Yeah.
Now with carpetless, I'm like,
Fuck.
I just need like a mid 138. Like, if I beat somebody there, I get world record. It's not gonna be like super satisfying and be like, there's always going to be the asterisk where it's like, yeah, it was a worse run, and then he hit a trick that saves a minute. The trick was hard, but it's not the same. There's always going to be that fucking asterisk, which is whatever. Um, but it would be cool.
it would it would be like the
I want to
asterisk is just arbitrary. It doesn't
fuck
exist.
fuck the asterisk. In my
Yeah,
Twitter bio, I can say former world record holder.
forever.
Yeah, I get that forever, bitch. Shit.
It's true.
I'm down. That might get more publicity too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, my bio has multiple world record holder because none of them matter anymore, but it's true.
So I don't know. I put it because I know that it's possible that it does happen, because I know I'm cusping on like a low 138.
Yeah.
Like, like every other day I do attempts, I get on pace.
I don't think
So
anyone's
it's just
arguing it. So.
yeah, so it's literally just about like, oh yeah, just do that thing that like I'm like about to do anyways, and then just hit this trick at the end, and then it's done deal pretty much.
Hmm.
Sure, I'll put world record attempts, but it's not my goal. My goal is
Hmm.
still 137, even though it just made everything got dropped by a minute,
Yeah.
you know?
You just tie your PB and then hit carpetless. Easy. There you go.
Easy.
Easy. God, this is. It's so insane. Just what's going on. This is like one of the biggest moments in the game's history, right? Like, I'm not. That's not weird to
I
say.
yeah, I don't know of like when a bigger time save has ever been found, except for like when like 1 and 0 star
Hmm.
have been discovered, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I do some of the people that I hang out with or like are in Mario VCs and stuff are like players who have been around a while, like
Hmm.
Alaris. And for a while I've heard him tell the story of he knows exactly where he was when sock folder cannonless was discovered because everybody got into a call and everybody was practicing it. Everybody on Twitch was practicing it. Every single icon was in a WOMPS and everybody was doing it. And it was like revolutionary and all that stuff. And I never really thought that that would happen again because
Hmm.
like I miss that and that's the only time that that's ever happened. So
Hmm.
it's reasonable to assume that won't happen again. But with Carpet is happening and everybody's doing it, everybody's working on it, everybody's contributing ideas. It's super sick.
Hmm.
Um, I do want to watch other things, but you know,
Hmm.
it is cool that everybody's messing around with it and it's getting so much like publicity and people who normally don't play the game are playing it to messing around with it and all this stuff. Overall, I think it's a benefit for the game
Yep.
too.
Yeah. Speaking of back then, though, shoutouts to Sockfolder. Like, he did flagpole glitch. That was the setup we
Hmm.
used was his. So, and I think he's done tons of other stuff. I'm just not well informed.
Yeah,
So it's crazy. Like the two
I'm sure
biggest,
it's
one of the like biggest consistency tricks in 64 and Mario One were him.
yeah.
It's just wild to think
I think he's
about.
done some stuff for other games, maybe like Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch more. I just wouldn't be knowledgeable about it. And the spider really wants to be on stream. You might see him pop up like on my ceiling over there soon. He's on the move. Um. So anyway, so that was 120's been like your bread and butter essentially. You'd
Hmm.
say so.
In the category that I've always cared about the most.
Hmm.
Um,
But you have some
I,
like banger times in the other. You've just done 1716 though, right?
I've done some one,
Oh, you have
uh,
done some one.
and some category extensions. Like I have a good 16 no LBLJ time. I think my
Mm,
16
yeah.
no LBLJ time is better than my LBLJ time.
Hmm.
Uh,
There you go.
uh, but yeah, like I have good times in the other categories. They're sandbagged, like they're far from where they should be for my 120 level, and that's just
Hmm.
simply because I haven't played them seriously in a while.
Yeah.
But they are things that I want to do, and they are things that I know how to. And you give me like 15 minutes, and I can be prepped to do any of them, and
Hmm.
probably do like PB attempts for any of them. Um, so I'm good in that regard. Where there's some top like 120 runners that are like, I don't know how to do 16. Like I don't know this 16 stuff. Like give me Fire C no reds, I'm lost. Where I'm like, I know how to do ultimate cycle. Probably won't go for it, but I know how to do it.
There you go. Yeah,
But
it's
I
cool that
like
there's
the
options.
different. I like the different. I like that I know a lot of different things.
Hmm.
Um, I've messed around with a lot of different strats, all this stuff. So I'm kind of knowledgeable. At least like I know I've messed around with most things. I might not be competent at a lot of them, but I've the jack of all trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I did that with Mario 1 a long time ago. So we have so many fucking category extensions. So many. But yeah, also I've had every record except any percent. So I mean, there you go. But who cares about any percent? Fuck that. Fuck that category. That's what I say. Ah,
It looks abysmally hard.
yeah. My PB is 2 years old, and when I got it, it was top 3. Now it's like almost out of top 10. I don't like that. Game's too hard, man.
I definitely want to get sub 5 at some point. It's like the standard.
Hell yes. I love to hear it.
Typical.
If you're good, it can take you like a week or even a day. Like if you like practice it well.
Yeah, I heard you can do it really fast. I remember I did try at one point, but it was just like 3, 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And it did not go well.
Well, yeah. You got to know
I
what
was
you're
like,
doing, but
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I was like, I can't do the underground in 1-1 fast enough.
That's like the
That
first thing you
that's
learn. So,
yeah, that's where I stopped.
well, you definitely need to continue after that if you want to get good at the game, but
Yeah, that's why it didn't go well.
understandable. Hey, when I first started speedrunning, I went for sub 5 immediately. I can tell you that is not the game plan. Don't do that.
I don't think I've ever beaten Mario 1.
Mm,
I tried at one point, drunk. That didn't go well.
hell yeah. That's the
uh,
best way. I've gotten to 458 drunk. It's easy, man. It's fucking easy, but
it's just so easy, dude.
but it was funny when you were talking about like your childhood playing Mario 64. Mario 1's the first game I ever beat. Can you tell I speedrun it now?
I played it. Played a lot of Mario 1 when I was a kid and never could beat it.
Mm,
I did the minus world glitch when I was a kid. I found out
everyone
about
did.
that. Yeah.
This is the
Um.
best.
Yeah, I had Mario 1,
Oh
2,
god.
3, and 64. I think 64 is the only one I beat as a kid, and I beat it multiple times. I did go and beat 2, not Lost Levels, US 2.
Yeah.
I beat that like 10 years ago in
Did
one
you
sitting.
did you have an NES or was this like Wii VC or something?
I have no fucking clue.
Oh.
Because I just Googled Mario 2 and downloaded something, and I guarantee you it was not an emulator. Like, I just downloaded Mario 2 and it went full screen and I was playing. So I don't know
Well, it
what the
was
hell I
well it
got.
was an well it was an emulator, but
Well, yeah, it was, but it wasn't like I didn't download a ROM and then an emulator and load it
yeah,
in or
no,
anything. I was just like Mario 2 free, click the first thing, and it was it.
yeah, there were websites that just were emulators. I used to do that a lot actually. Um
I know that there's websites, but it was like a full executable,
oh.
which is like dangerous as
I
fuck.
thought did you get a virus? Like that doesn't
I
sound
don't
good.
know. I just remember being at a friend's house, downloading it on my laptop and beating it on the floor.
Sure.
I was just like, but looking
God.
back, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I got.
Yeah, I don't know. I've
Some,
never heard of that before.
like, it's I've never seen anything like that ever since either. Because every time you would do that and you download an exe, yeah, you're getting a virus and stuff. But it was also I was at a point where I was like literate enough with computers to know not to get a virus and know
Mm,
what to look out for and all this stuff. So like it wasn't like I just clicked on some random thing and was like, "Oh, big green button," you know. I was like
mhm.
it looked legit as fuck and then it just was it.
Fascinating.
I don't know. What if I googled it right now and found it?
That'd be funny, but I doubt it. I this spider's like above my head now, so that's fun.
Dude, I'm playing in a browser. That's so loud.
Yeah, there was like this website that had like every ROM, and you could just click on a game and just play it. I remember if we were like at a hotel and they would have the free computers, I would like find that website and play NES games that way. It's funny because that would have been before like the 3DS or like yeah, DS's came out with like the virtual console stuff. Are you just playing Mario 2 now?
No, I'm on the Internet Archive, and
uh,
it says this is a ROM, but it also says controls, and then it's like keyboard.
interesting.
So it's like,
Interesting.
is this actually a ROM or is it emulator screenshot? That is the cover page. Torrent. It comes with 9 files.
This is a interesting dive into the internet.
Status stalled. Downloaded seeding.
Are
If this
you
actually is it, what do you
well?
mean?
I hope everything's okay. Because yeah, not how I'd play the game.
No, it's just a .nes file.
Well, that's correct.
Yeah, but I can't just natively launch it.
Yeah. I don't think you should be able to do that.
You
So,
shouldn't, but I did.
hey
I don't
man,
know. Maybe someone like prepackaged it or something. I don't.
yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, good games. Good games. So, you have an interest in Mario 1. Do you have like games you're interested in? Like even if you may never get to it, but
Um, I've never like the furthest I've gotten in OOT, like casually, is getting Zelda's Letter, which is like pathetically early game.
hmm I've never
But
even played it, so further than me.
I would, I would, I think speedrunning that could be cool because it's like all setups and stuff, and like I like what like I watched like CFG and Clint highlight videos, and it's cool when they're like, "Oh, this thing failed, and I need to remember how to do this backup that I did 3 routes ago to save this," and
hmm
stuff like that. Just having a bunch of knowledge that's right up my alley. So I think that would be cool. I don't know if I would like it.
Don't know until you try.
Yeah, but it's something that it would be cool to do at some point. And then there's a couple like childhood games that no one's ever fucking heard of
hmm
that I'm like, it'd be cool to do these.
What are they?
Um, the 2001 version of Spy Hunter,
Oh,
which was like a 3D reboot thing.
yeah, I know the
Uh,
arcade game.
yeah. Um, and then Pitfall: The Lost Expedition, which was my
Is that the
favorite game as
SNES
a
one?
kid. No, it's for
Oh, that's the
it's
Mayan
another
Adventure or something.
yeah, something like that. It's a 3D. It's basically OT, but in 2004.
And
kind
bad.
kind of. Uh, I think the gameplay mechanics hold up extremely well.
mm,
The story itself is good. The voice acting and like dialogue is very cringy.
hell yeah. That's what I like to hear.
But that's a game that I actually that's like the first game that I tried like super genuinely hard to speedrun.
hmm
There was one guy on YouTube who speedran it who got sub 1. And then I was learning off of that video, and then I made a tutorial, which was basically me just explaining the run. Um,
hmm
but there was like 80% of the run, there's a trick which I just could not for the life of me get. Which is funny because I came back recently and just tried it and nailed it like first try. Just
Oh,
like
well, there you
I, don't know, child me was shit.
go. Fucking
but I
noob.
but I made this like tutorial video on like the first 3/4 of the game or whatever. And I would just do runs up to the point that I couldn't beat. And I got bored and then I went away and it's other stuff. Then like 4 years later, I'm doing DoorDash.
Hell yeah. Fellow
Um,
Dasher, or at least last year, that's what I was doing. I should
um,
really do it again.
I'm delivering to a fire station.
Mm.
I get back to my car and I see I have an email. And the email is some guy saying, "Hey, there's a Discord community for the Pitfall speedrunning.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of us watched your tutorial
Hmm.
years ago, and we're doing like an anniversary event. Do you want in?" So like
Surprise.
join, and there's like a bunch of people in there. And like I didn't talk to any of them like in voice or anything, but like I see there's a bunch of people, and a bunch of people started speedrunning this game and brought the time down to like 20 something minutes. And it was like it's insane. So I'm like, I want to go back someday and I want to go do that.
Hmm.
And I want to try to get record in it.
There you go.
Just like return back. And it's just like I don't know.
Have you ever
I think
even
it'd be
finished a run?
no.
That's so funny to me.
There was like a time like a year or two ago that I was bored of Mario and I was like, I'm gonna learn this. And I learned 25% of the 80% run
Hmm.
in a day. I made
Damn.
save states and everything. I got like 25% of the way through, and then I just didn't touch it again.
Fair enough.
There was some hard stuff. You go out of bounds and you don't see shit.
Hmm.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I
But
don't I definitely don't know anything about it, so.
but I think it'd be cool to do not only because like that's like the first speed game I kind of did. Um so it'd be cool to do that because of that. Then also um I think it'd be super sick to be like once I get bigger or whatever, if I keep doing this, because at any point I could just die. No,
Well, don't
at
do
any point,
that.
at any point I could just disappear,
Just
or
drop
not
dead.
just any point I could wake up and not want to do this anymore,
Okay.
like not want to speed run. Assuming I keep going with it, I know I'm just gonna grow and get bigger,
Yeah.
and I know that'll have like leverage. I know I could if I submitted into pace. I know I'd get into pace, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it would be super cool also is be like, I'm gonna submit this game to GDQ, you know, and show a bunch of people this game. And like, yeah, I haven't been part of the community or whatever, but like shout outs to them, you know, because I'm part of their history, kind of. And it's cool that like they invited me back and they're doing this super obscure thing, and you know, it'd just be sick to give them a shout out. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I did stalk your SRC page because I like to at least have a look, and I saw Minecraft.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was just like one off for fun thing.
I should post some runs. I kind
All
of
right.
researched some stuff, and then Artemis actually taught me like the kind of world record strats at the time.
Mm,
Like, this was like when a world record probably was like barely sub 20, I think.
mm. So
So
a
they were
while
like
back.
around 20-minute time. I don't know how much the strats have changed really since then.
I just know what is record like 7 minutes now or something. I don't really follow Minecraft because it's
Yeah.
never been a game I've cared that much about. Well, especially in speedrunning. I just don't
Yeah.
care. But
So I was taught like the route was some shit like spawn in an ocean, go find a monument, do some render distance stuff to get the gold, go find a ravine in the water to get to the nether, go find fortress, and then go beat the game.
hmm
Um, and I think I did some attempts, but like never got a fortress quickly or whatever. I don't
yeah,
know if I even finished a run. So that like I actually like I learned everything I needed to know to be able to like fluke a good run.
Mhm.
Like there's different the Nether Fortress types or whatever or Bastion types, and I think there's four of them. And you have different routing and everything. I just was like, I just want a Bastion and I'll just figure it out. So it was like I could fluke a good time,
Mhm.
but never did anything with it.
That's fair. There's also like Sonic Adventure or something.
Yeah, that was just complete shit post after shit post after shit post
Oh,
after
good. There wasn't a
that.
video.
It's because it's cheated.
Oh.
Assuming, well, the GameCube one is because it was on emulator and they didn't require video. I don't think
Mhm.
they allow emulator or some shit or something. And I was just like, fucking whatever, dude. Like,
Okay.
the garbage. It's a garbage time. It's just cheated. It's
Mhm.
it doesn't follow the rules. Therefore, it's cheated.
Oof. Well,
But it was
time to
like,
ban you. So
yep.
get
It was
banned.
like chip grooved aquarium. I think maybe beef. Um, Cam. I don't remember what his username was. I think we would all just like shit post runs
Hmm.
where we would just race in a VC. Nick V. We would all just sit in a VC and we would just shit post a no reset.
Hell yeah.
And we would just get better off of that. And then Chip like found the document where it's this hint for the emerald piece means it's here. So then I would be doing runs and I'd be like, Chip, I have this. Where is it? And he'd be like, it's over. It's at this thing. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. He's like, I don't know. So we did that for like 2 weeks, maybe.
Yep. Sounds like a shitpost, all right. But that's what's fun or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So, um, Mario 1 and those two childhood games is like mainly the future of not, but it's like 99.99% Mario 64.
Yeah.
Maybe
E-
0.999.
Especially especially now because it's like I stream anything else and I'm not gonna get viewership that pays my bills.
Yeah,
So
like,
which is like expected and I'm not upset about that. Like it sucks, but it's like that's understandable. Duh.
yeah,
You
like
know?
you're in the early stages of full time. That's just
Yeah.
comes with the territory.
So it's like if I wanted to do that stuff now, I can't really like force myself to. Like that would be like an after stream thing,
Hmm.
maybe. Um so I can't see myself doing stuff like that anytime soon. But like once I'm more established and more secure and it's like okay, I need a break and I need to do something else.
Hmm.
That's when I would do it,
Yeah,
you know?
plenty of time. So
Hmm.
there you go. Well, that's good. So there's the history. I know you like having really good quality setup capture
Yeah.
stuff. Got any tips for that? Because I know, like, what did I read? Like, I still use Amarek.
Hmm.
I capture it because I noticed. So I have the StarTech. If you plug that into OBS, get the direct capture in OBS, it will like drop frames and looks blurry. But on Amarek, for some reason, it doesn't drop frames and looks good. So I use that, and then, but I can't like I don't have an upscaler, so I do it in OBS, and it, I don't know.
Hmm.
There's a lot of technical stuff behind, and I am someone that like really tries to make the capture look nice. So I heard you're the guy to talk to about stuff like that.
I could hook you up
Oh,
with like
hell yeah.
OBS settings and stuff. But basically it's I know Amarek does like off like non-standard recordings of frame rates.
Mm-hmm.
Like OBS probably is dropping stuff. I don't care about that personally because like I don't really notice it. There might be a way to make it look good in OBS, but I do know Amarek is like weird and
Mm-hmm.
has like weird old features that make stuff look a certain way.
Yeah.
Um uh a lot of it is just knowing scaling settings
Mm-hmm.
and trying to keep things in like integers. So like my capture card is set to 720p and I scale it. Wait, yeah, 720p goes into 4K. I scale it up to 4K.
Mm.
I used to do it to 1440p, which 720p does go into 1440p.
Mhm.
Um, it's a multiple of it.
Yeah.
So you can do it, and then in OBS you can set the scaling filter to nearest neighbor, so it doesn't apply any blurring or anything. It just is sharp pixels,
Mhm.
and I think that's what a lot of people don't do. And also, I never use OBS's like drag feature. Like I never use that to crop or resize anything. I always go in and set a scaling filter, and I type in the exact resolution that I want it to be, the
Mm.
exact pixels. That way I know it's perfect. I
Mhm.
use a crop filter. I do all this stuff. So it can be a real headache, and there can be a lot of math involved,
But once you
especially
have
if
it
you're trying to
down, like,
yeah,
you
especially if
just
you're
have to
trying to
plug it
keep
in.
aspect ratios. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
Makes
like for
sense.
since my canvas is 4K and I downsample it to 1080p for stream, but I record at 4K.
Mm.
I know my gameplay is um 4 by 3, and I know that 4 by 3 4K is 2880 by 2160. So that is what my scaling filter is set to. Then there's no other transforms, no scaling, none of that stuff. It's just perfectly fit right there,
Mhm.
slotted in. I know that that leaves 960 pixels on the left for my other stuff. So my webcam is 960 pixels wide.
Hmm.
Um, so is my live split. Um, stuff like that. Um, I know at 1440p it's 640 wide, and then I don't know the rest. Uh, but that's how I do it, and I mess with the different scaling options to make sure or to try to see what uh looks best. If you're going for a sharp look,
Mhm.
because most of the time we're dealing with like low resolution games and stuff. We're dealing with like 240p, 480p.
Yep.
Um, if you want that sharp, crisp look, you have to use um there's different names: integer, point, or nearest neighbor scaling.
Mhm.
Um, those won't apply any blur. Um, technically, it fucks with the image a bit because a pixel's a square.
Mhm.
If you want to blow it up, ideally, you give it another pixel. So that one pixel is now 4 pixels.
Mhm.
Um, so it has to be in a multiple of whatever that is. Um, that's how it looks perfect, um, and accurate. But if you have it at like some off thing, like it's gonna get cut off. So then now the computer is like, we need to decide what color this pixel is because the line is going through it, and we can't have it be two colors. It's one pixel. So
Mhm.
then there's algorithms that apply blur and stuff, like fade the edges so it looks fine. And point scaling, if it's not a perfect integer, yeah, it'll be sharp, but those squares will no longer be perfect.
Mhm.
It'll no longer be a 2 by 2 square. It might be a 1 by 2, and then you'll have a 2 by 2, or then like a 3 by 2 or stuff. It'll like if you zoom into my quality or into
Mhm.
my feed, you'll see these pixels, but they're so small that you can't really tell. There is an area scale filter which keeps it that way and
Mhm.
keeps all of them the same, but it's not as sharp. So some people are like, "Oh, I want it to be like perfect pixel accurate," so they set it to area.
Mhm.
But I set mine to point or nearest neighbor, which keeps it very very sharp.
Mhm.
So it's getting a good clean feed out of the console and then knowing what to do with that feed to keep it sharp.
Mhm.
Obviously, like if you have a scaler or whatever, optimally you just have it set to whatever resolution it is.
Mhm.
But like I'm using an OSSC and it's pumping out 1600 by 1200. Then my capture card's capturing that at 720p, and then it's scaling it up to 4K, and it looks pretty fucking good.
Mhm.
But but like my monitor, I can't dictate what scaling method it uses. It's getting a 1600 by 1200 image, and then it's like we need to just make it fit into a 4K monitor.
Mhm.
So then it blurs it because it doesn't know that Because if okay, real footage, like IRL, like webcam or whatever, if it's low resolution and you scale it up without any, like, smoothing, it looks awful. It looks really weird, which is why by default everything gets blurred a certain way. So, um, the monitor is just programmed to just do one of those filters. So
Mhm.
what I actually see on my screen is actually worse than what my stream sees. Now, the 4K RetroTink that's gonna come out is probably gonna fix that because I'll just be able to set a 4K image to my monitor, and then it won't have to do any scaling at all.
Mhm.
But drawbacks and just things that you have to work around.
Mhm. So, I play in a CRT, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But so I
Yeah.
don't I don't I don't have any upscalers. But do you think you can get like a crisp video feed without an upscaler if you know what settings to use?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
If you have, like, a good source, like,
Mhm.
um, you can have good looking, like, S video,
Yeah, yeah, I've
um,
seen pretty good S video.
if you know what you're doing, and
Everything's RGB modded for me though, so even
oh,
my
if it's a
Nintendo
RGB mod,
64, hell yeah.
if it I yeah, I got you.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can do all the scaling in OBS.
All right. What's gonna happen is one of these days we need to get in a VC, and you're just
I
gonna
I
make
I
all
can
my
do it
layouts.
right after this interview if
I
you want. I
can't,
can do it real quick. Oh,
but
okay.
that's why I'm saying one of these days. But
I got you.
that's good. That's
I
good to
did wanna
know
make a
because
video on it at some point, but I'm
yeah,
very
yeah,
lazy.
yeah. So just know people do care. So if you do make a video, like people will
Yes.
care. So if that helps you make that, there you go.
So
But
the
yeah,
question here is the reason you use a 4:3 scale filter because you need more width for live split layout, input display, etc. 4:3 filter because everybody sets their game to 4:3. The game
mhm.
is not 4:3.
Yeah, it's not.
It is not 4:3. But everybody sets their stuff to 4:3. I used to not have mine set to 4:3 and people complained. They're like, "Your game looks weird." It's
No, it looks correct. Fuck you.
it's right. But
It's
everybody sets theirs to 4:3, so whatever.
Yeah, it's because CRTs cut off some of the
Mhm.
edges. Especially in Nintendo 64, it just cuts it off. Like on a CRT, if you look at the EverDrive menu on a CRT, like the borders get cut off. Like on an NES, they like put all of the information they don't want you to see, but it's still there, like where it would be
Mhm.
off screen on a CRT. But yeah, on Nintendo 64, they're just like, nope, there it is. There's the
Yeah.
there's the whole thing. So that's why it looks so different.
So it's just everybody sets 4:3 in their capture, so
Hmm.
and it looks good. So,
Yeah, it's
you know.
fine, but it's technically not correct.
Mhm. And
So,
it's not, and because of that, it's pretty much impossible to have it actually scale perfectly
mhm.
um
Yeah.
with integers because fucking you're going to be playing with off resolutions because it's not actually a full res, and then nobody's monitor is going to perfectly slot into that. So there's always going to be some scaling, which is why it's better if you care about the quality is sending out as high of a resolution video as possible. So if people are on a lower resolution display, it just downsamples it. Downsampling preserves the quality because you already dictated how the stream should look,
Mhm.
you know? Whereas if it's upscaling it, it has to interpret, or yeah, it has to interpret what it thinks it should be. And for pretty much every single use case, that involves blurring.
Mhm.
So that's what the default is.
Yeah, that's just
That's what
how it
it
goes.
is.
Yeah. OBS like settings have been things that have always complicated me to the point where I just like, all right, good enough. But it'd be nice to because I have like a layout for every game because I like making custom layouts. So like I even have different layouts for Mario 1 and the Lost Levels, which are literally the same fucking game. Let's just call it what it is. So it'd be nice to like just know the method where I could just for any layout I could be like, okay, this is what I need for this console, and then input all the
Mhm.
math. And because now all my layouts look the same. I used to make them all look different, but now they all have like the same kind of default border put everything, and then I can change that around. So it'd be nice to get the math down for that.
Yeah.
So that's my personal thing. Like obviously this only matters to people that are very particular, like me. So usually not a big deal, but hey, for those who care, you can apparently make it look pretty good. And that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've always been a person that loved quality, and
Hmm.
I always was trying to strike a balance. Like when I got into PC gaming, I would just tinker with settings and be like, I want to perfectly balance performance and quality,
Hmm.
to the point where I would be spending more time doing that than playing the actual game.
Yep.
And I bought a stream computer at one point, and I spent more time tinkering with settings than actually streaming.
Hmm.
Now, stream PCs are pretty much irrelevant because we have hardware encoders built into our computers
Hmm.
for the most part. But I still would mess around with settings and stuff. I've just kind of moved on where I'm now at a point where I'm like I don't mess around with the OBS settings anymore. Now I have to hard mod my fucking console to get good quality out of it.
Hmm.
And now I'm messing around with the scale filter.
Yep.
But it's easier now. Instead of going and looking at x264 commands and reading what they do, and then having a video file that you play and you just change one and you go, is this real time? Is this rendering in real time? Is there enough performance, or through this stress test it won't drop any frames? How does it affect the quality? Does the quality look better? Just squeezing every single
Hmm.
bit of quality out of the bit rate. Now
There
it's
you go.
just copy these settings, everybody has the same encoder, go. You know.
Yep. All right. Well, we pretty much exhausted my repertoire of questions, but I do usually ask, do you like to watch certain speedruns that you don't ever like intend to play? Or like favorite
Uh
streamers, anything like that?
no.
No. You don't watch anyone?
I follow okay. I follow quite a few people that do like other games. I follow a decent amount of SMB1 people,
Well,
but I like pretty much never click on anything. I
hmm.
still follow like a bunch of Counter-Strike streams, and I never ever watch. But that's kind of different. That's like, oh,
Hmm.
I've been following for so long, I just want to keep that. It's like every once in a while someone will be doing something that I find like that catches my attention. Like if I like I'll scroll through and I see you doing a 70-star run, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I want to see this." I don't know.
Sub hour haver.
I'm very I think a lot of Mario 64 people are like this, and it's like kind of unfortunate, but
Hmm.
they're very just Mario 64 all the time. That's
Yeah.
kind of really all I'm interested in for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like I don't watch people for the personality. Um, I mostly lurk, but like pretty much there's never a time I hop into a stream just to watch. Um, Usually if I hop into a stream, it's because I'm chatting.
Hmm.
Like if I'm there for an extended period of time, like I'll bring somebody up if they're on pace. Like I'm a pace pal as fuck.
Pace palace fuck.
uh, I'm just constantly looking for pace and people on runs. But otherwise, if I'm sitting around like actually chatting for a while, it's probably because it's like a close friend and I watched them do Mario 64.
Hmm.
But it's like the closest thing that I can think of is like the other day I was in Squeegee's chat for like I don't know 5-10 minutes maybe because he was doing Battletoads and I was just shit posting something, I don't know. But like I'm not interested enough to stay. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. That's fair.
I'm sure that would change if I started like speedrunning other games. Like if I started like getting good at SMB1, I'd be more inclined to watch SMB1.
Hmm. I've just personally got to the point where like I have a TV and I'll always have a stream on and it'll just
Mm-hmm.
be whoever it can be whatever. I don't really chat much anymore because of that though. I guess that's the one downside. But my favorite thing honestly, and I don't really do it anymore because again I have a TV and you just put one stream on it because the Twitch app is kind of bad and all that. Anyway, I have a friend that made this really good multi-stream thing. So you could just have like 9 streams running at the same time and be like,
Ooh.
"Oh shit." Put it on your second monitor and just be able to watch whatever the fuck. That's what I like.
Yeah, when I'm streaming, I have 2 streams up. I have space for 2.
Mm.
So I when I get on, I go into the directory for Mario 64 and I just open up everyone's stream that I think is going to do runs or whatever or that I'm interested in. And then I put like the 2 that I care about the most or that are the furthest along. Those are the ones that are up. And then if somebody's run dies and I notice or whatever, I go cycle through and I try to find another one.
Damn.
And then once people go offline and rate or are rating people and I close the tabs, then I go back to the directory and I open up again, just constantly lurking in people's at least 2 people's streams. And then uh I do not like watching stuff on my computer. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't like watching YouTube or Twitch or anything on my computer. Like if I'm on my computer, it's because I'm like playing a game or I'm talking to someone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I do it on my phone in my bed. So like if I'm on Twitch on my bed in bed, I'm going through. I'm looking for pace. If there's no pace, I'm probably out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Unless like someone's doing something like Sweety's doing practice or something, I'll just hop it for like 5 minutes or something like that. Otherwise, most of my content like consumption is just YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah. Speaking of YouTube, since you're like a Twitch streamer, do you have any plans at all of some sort of YouTube content?
Not at the moment. There's like some just basic tutorials I want to make, like the OBS
Mm-hmm.
settings one, stuff like that, but not really, no. Maybe down the line some tutorials on how to do certain strats, but I'm not comfortable enough doing that until like I'm definitively like up there, you know?
I think you're good
Because
enough where it would be okay, but I mean,
there's a lot of things I do that are like other runners are like, "What the fuck? Why are you doing it like that?" And I'm like, "It works though."
it works though.
I'm a person that people will say that I do like a lot of swag strats or I do a lot of different strategies. Um, and it's interesting because a lot of the ones that I do, I don't think are that much harder than the normal strat, but they are faster. But I don't like grind them to the point where they're significantly faster than the normal strat. So like double jump owlless, I'm not great like super fast at double jump owlless. I get like a good triple jump owlless time, basically the equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that with a lot of things. It's just that I'm consistent at them. And I feel like that consistency is like it just puts me at the same level that somebody who does the base strats who's really good at them is. I'm just at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that there's the more potential because like at any point I can focus on double jump palace and say 0.5 or whatever. Um so because of that, I don't feel super comfortable being like this is how you do this star. Because it's like I can explain how you do it, I can explain how I do it, but how I do it might not be fast and it might not be the proper way. It's just what works for me and what I'm currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's things that like other runners hella disapprove of. Mostly the
Hell,
16 runners when I'm doing stuff in like Dark World, they're like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because it fucking works." They're like, "It's shit," and I'm like, "I don't know. It's comfortable for me. It's fast. Like it's fast enough. It's consistent. Gets the job done."
And that's all that matters.
But like I can't help people learn the other way because I don't know the other way. They only know it the way that I do it. And I would be way more comfortable telling people to do it my way if I had record. And it was clearly the best. And be like, well, Kally's saying to do it like this. I don't know.
Makes sense. Well, I think I've exhausted my list of things to talk about. I miss anything important?
I don't think so.
I think we covered everything that
You
matters.
hit the topics that you messaged me that you wanted to talk about.
I do try to come prepared at least a little bit, but
I'm
yeah.
surprised this has been 3 hours that flew
It
by.
has been 3.5 hours. Isn't that
Yeah,
insane?
my voice is dead.
Yeah, that's fair. You have been doing most of the talking, so I can't complain about mine. So, all right, well, we can end things here. Um, You can self-promote however you'd like at this moment.
Shout outs to shout outs.
So true. Literally
Shout outs
shouting
to
out right now.
shout outs to me
Yes.
because I'm awesome. Shout outs to GTA's because he's awesome. Shout outs to Wikipedia.
Okay.
That's another thing that I do. I just consume Wikipedia, just immense amounts of Wikipedia. So
Whatever
shout outs to Wikipedia for giving me knowledge and keeping me
knowledge.
entertained enough where I don't get bored at night, but bored enough that I fall asleep.
Important.
Shout outs to cats and dogs because they're cute.
So true.
And I think we're good.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. You're watching here live. I'll try my best to upload this tonight. I mean, I have to, but there's things I have to do tonight, so it's gonna be weird, but we'll make it work. And if you are watching it on YouTube, hey, I streamed this live. You should watch that.
Hi YouTube.
Hi YouTube.
Comment hey.
True. Very important. That is the meme. We must
Shout out
have the meme
shout
live
outs to
on.
hey.
Shout outs to hey. Hey hey. All right. Take care everyone. Have a good one. Goodbye now.
Bye.
Bye.